The following is a presentation of Sertoba Media and Comey Media Incorporated. Justin Fields and Russell Wilson are both on the same team. Oh, what is the world coming to? Next on Total Football Talk. Welcome to Total Football Talk. Hard-hitting gridiron action and news just the way you like it. I am one of the hosts of this program, Cole Johnson, a.k.a. the Mad Scientist and the EP of all EPs, or EP Extraordinaire. I am not joined, as always, this time by the other host of this program, who is of the Commander's Gridiron Report, or Mr. In and Out Sports Debate, or D. Will in the Evening, a.k.a. the man in charge of the D. Willie Bucks, Drew Willingham. We hope that you are doing better, my friend. Heal up soon. The seat will be warm for you next week. However, I am not alone, because joining me is a face you have seen on this program before, and you will see it again on this episode. The man who is part of Student of the Game and the Duval Dive, a Jaguars podcast. Man, why does that sound like a romance novel? Anyway, I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, he is here once again, and for the first time I get a chance to work with him, Mr. Kyle Nash.
An honor, joy, and privilege, Cole Johnson. Listen, first of all, shouts to Drew Willingham. I knew you would take Sam Howell not being a commander very hard. I didn't know it hit you quite this hard, and the fact that I was absolutely right about him could only hit you harder. But as I kick you while you're down, please get better, Drew Willingham. And Cole, honor, joy, and privilege to jump in. Listen, you mentioned the Duval Dive sounding like a romance novel. Hey, Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country does love his Jaguars. I think we're trying to capture that feel there, Cole Johnson.
Aha, so that is the key. Okay, I was like, the first time I saw that, I was like, oh, I like the title. I was like, okay, I like that. But
I gotta pull back. I gotta pull back behind the curtain a little bit. Full disclosure: back in my days writing for the Dolphins Wire, it used to be a section I would do every Friday called the Dolphins Dive. But since I don't write for them anymore, I do write for Jaguar Report. Bing! But Duval Dive, I kind of took it there. That was my thing, and here you go.
He gave me the ding. Beautiful,
absolutely.
And we're not even beginning the episode yet, and he gives me the ding. Yes.
Hashtag talent, baby. That's what's up.
I hear that. It is a joy to be here. 1, 2, it's a joy to have you. And 3, for the very first time I get a chance to work with you, and I'm actually pumped that I get a chance to do so.
Hey, same here. You've heard me do the wrestling style promo on the In and Out debate show on Sertoba.
Yes.
Do I do that when I see what's the rule out when I'm plugging somebody else's stuff? Do I do a bing for that? Well, bing. So I know I've done the wrestling style promos to try to pull you on there with me for that. We haven't had that happen yet. I'm sure that's going to be great. But yeah, let's do the thing. I'm jazzed, as you can tell. I'm blathering because I'm energetic, despite the fact it's the morning.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do the thing, bro.
That's right. Let's do the thing. And we now will go into the opening drive.
All right, let's go. We got trips, right? At 42, 989. On two. Ready? Break.
Now I know you're saying to yourself, "Wait a minute, Cole. There isn't any football action. The NFL. You've dissected how the year of 2023 went for all 32 teams. What have you possibly can talk about on the opening drive here?" Well, there was the free agency period, not just the day of, but the week after. And it was just as explosive the week after as it was the day of. So we will dispense with more of the free agency period dealings, signings, and whatever have you. Beginning, of course, we already knew that Russell Wilson signed on the dotted line with the Steelers. The Bears decided to trade Justin Fields to Western Pennsylvania to join him. Yes, the Steelers sent a 2025 sixth-round draft pick to the Bears that converts to a fourth-rounder if Fields plays more than 50% of snaps in the 2024 season. Now, Fields, who completed his third year with Chicago last year, he would join a quarterback room that has Russell Wilson in it, the aforementioned man who signed a one-year deal with the Steelers last week. Now, Fields is not expected to compete with Wilson for the starting job because, well, they said that Wilson is the guy that's going to be the starter. However, Fields is expected to learn from the Super Bowl winner and the guy who threw a 1-yard interception in the Super Bowl the next year. But I digress. And 9-time Pro Bowler. Now, my question to you, Mr. Nash, is the following. What are the Chicago Bears front office smoking or snorting?
Listen, there's no greater drug, Cole Johnson, than being drunk on oneself. And that's exactly what's happening with this front office, man. Listen, they thought they would be able to make some moves, to do some things happen. Maybe they were asking too much for or of, well, it's not of, but for Justin Fields in that particular instance, and were caught holding the bag. I think I heard it best, Cole. At this point, if they didn't get what they wanted going into the draft, they're better off holding on to Justin Fields and getting something more for him in the event a quarterback goes down or somebody ends up questioning their quarterback during camp. Please see Trey Lance and the 49ers, right? They at least got a fourth for Trey Lance, okay? And I think that's a relatively good comparison. I know Niners fans will be like, they gave up a lot more for Trey Lance. That's called a sunk cost, okay? And that's kind of in what the good part is for the Steelers. They acknowledge Kenny Pickett as a sunk cost. This is why this is a big victory for them. But to answer the question of what the Bears are smoking, listen, we all knew that the business of football, Cole, demanded they move on from Justin Fields. They just opted to do it when he had the least value possible. This is a colossal blunder like no other. I know people are talking trash on what the Jags are doing in their front office, but this is the biggest miss this offseason. Maybe I got it, Cole. I just thought of this.
Okay.
Speaking of Drew being sick, there was like some sort of virus they caught that was attached to the Carolina Panthers draft pick, so they would make a move just as bad last year. You come up with something better. I got nothing.
No, that's good enough. I can't come up with anything better because that was the thought process I had. I'm like, you drafted him, you traded up to get the guy in the first place in the first round, and you basically let him go for a 6 that could turn into a 4 should he play more than half the snaps next year. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Which, by the way, good luck with that.
Yeah, and more than likely it's going to be a 6-rounder. I thought the game was you're supposed to get the same amount of value in return if you give something away, but I guess the Bears front office and the Bears executive staff must not be thinking clearly, or they must say, well, we already have the first overall in our pocket. We're eyeing Caleb Williams, which I don't think they should anyway, but I digress. And we beefed up the offense with DeAndre Swift and Keenan Allen. Hey, we should be good to go.
I mean, cool. How colossal a blunder is this, though, by the Panthers that the Bears feel so comfortable moving off of this dude for a 6? Like, you know what? You got so many damn picks here. Just get him out the building. Like can you imagine? This only further accents how bad a job Carolina is. I'm trying to on which mistake is still reverberating more. Nathaniel Hackett in Denver, which I'm sure we're going to talk more about later here, Or
Yeah.
this Carolina trade, and it's just nutty to me how picks and I should say picks, but moves like that are still reverberating for the damage they've done the franchises.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the moment I saw this, I was like, okay, either the Steelers got him for a deal, or or I'm going to hear that TJ Watt or Mika Fitzpatrick or Cam Hayward or somebody of value is a Bear.
Yeah.
Nope. No.
Great point. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop. But
yeah.
I know it's fun to trash organizations, and I will continue to do it for the Bears. I'm sure we both will throughout the offseason. But let's throw some shine on the Steelers here.
Please do.
You get Rusty for basically a box of Skittles, right? It's a little bigger than the bag. You got the box; it's multiple packs in it, right? So right. It's one pack. You know, I know people want to be all like Rusty's wash. Rusty couldn't play up to the level of that contract was the problem, right? It's not that he's bad. He's top.
That's correct.
Right?
I agree.
So with all that in mind, not only have they accounted for Rusty in the twilight of his career, not only have they finally possibly bridged the gap finally away from Ben Roethlisberger. I get it. Kenny Pickett was an upgrade. I think him getting sat his rookie year was what kept them out of the playoffs. It was very awkward disagreeing with Mike Tomlin that year, but I proved to be right, which is still something I boast because it's an amazing thing to do. But all of the above to say, they have Russell Carrington Wilson. Next year, if they don't want to sign him for a larger contract, they ain't gotta. They got Justin Fields right there. And if he starts to look good in camp, if he starts to impress, this could be a guy who wants to be there, a guy who for once isn't some sort of an executive wannabe who needs personal assistance to, interact with other teams. As much as I like Russell Carrington Wilson, at the end of the day, that is the party line is he's this elitist dude. Justin Fields wouldn't be that. And for all of Mike Tomlin's abilities to deal with malcontents, Antonio Holmes, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. Everybody seems to have forgotten that 17 winning seasons means nothing. You talking about romance novels with the Duval dive? Bing! Like imagine those lineups, bro. Do you want to? I don't want to manage that. You want to manage? No. Okay. So all of that to be said, having the next two quarterbacks in the building for the mere ransom of Halloween candy in a bowl, it's a beautiful thing, buddy.
You're right. I think we do have to pass some flowers under the Steelers front office and my Tomlin too, because you got two guys who are amenable to actually want to play for him.
Yeah.
Because I think I read that Justin Fields turned down a few offers before this one came up on the doorstep to him.
Yeah, they negated other trades that the Bears were considering, which that kind of hog-tied them too. I don't think they were ready for that.
No, I don't think they were either. And yes, the fact that you could say that, well, all they have to do is pay Russell Wilson the veteran minimum for this year too. I would say that the fact that the Steelers fleeced two organizations in the same week,
bravo,
that's almost executive year worthy, and I'm not joking. Oh, but I have to admit, let me write this down. Don't call him Danger Russ. Don't call him Sierra's man. Call him Rusty. Okay, got it. I like that. Rusty.
I did that right to Bobby Wagner's face one time, and he rolled with it. He was like, it was at a Pro Bowl practice. They say, hey, it looks like Rusty just hit George Kittle there for a touchdown at the practice. He goes, yeah, well, Rusty just finds the open man. I'm like, okay.
The fact you had a former teammate roll with that is hilarious. I like that.
I do wear that as a badge of honor. You're right, Cole Johnson.
You should. You should. All right. Well, we talked about the quarterback room of the Steelers. It would have Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, and Kenny Pickett. No, it doesn't. Because Kenny Pickett is no longer a Steeler. But he is still in the state of Pennsylvania. That is because Kenny Pickett is now the new Eagles quarterback. And he pushed back reports that he handled the addition of Russell Wilson poorly in Pittsburgh, leading to a trade from his former club. He went on to state and refute the I am not liking Russell Wilson being a Steeler with the following. Quote, I think the communication is what it is. It was behind closed doors. I'm confident in the way that I handled it. I handled it the way I should have handled it. I'm excited to be here in Philadelphia. It worked out so well that in Philly, I was the place that Philly was the place I ended up being in. Everything happens for a reason, and I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Close quote. Now, I have another question to ask, but I'm going to ask this one in its stead at the moment.
Do the thing.
How will Kenny Pickett handle basically being demoted in this trade?
I mean, first, by the way, if you go on to read later in that quote, he was also announcing his candidacy for president of the United States.
He might as well.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, I say, here's the thing, and this is a guy who thought Kenny Pickett was the right pick for the Steelers when the pick was made, right? Hometown guy, had already played in the damn stadium for
right.
Pittsburgh.
Yes, right.
I really think the correct play for a football player, not a politician, is to lean into that. Yeah, I was pissed. I went from being the hometown hero, and now you're letting me out for, I mean, he doesn't have to say it. I'm adding my own little flavor. But you pushed me out for Trey Executive? You pushed me out for Mr. Sierra? Really? Really? This is what we're doing? You couldn't even get a blue-collar guy in here? They eventually did with Justin Fields, right? But yeah, he's a little miffed about being asked to not only move out of the stadium he's been playing in, to do it with an intrastate rival.
Intrastate.
Yeah, I'm okay with him hating that, and then finishing as he did. You know what? The good Lord put me here to play some ball and do what I can to get where I can get. And hey, for all the whispers and doubt, despite his contract that have taken place with local fans of Jalen Hurts, proper or not, you got to think. I don't care how small your hands are. Philly fans and they've made bigger mistakes before, Cole Johnson.
Oh, no. See, I think you may know of the brother that I'm about to speak of. But look, I am tight with my man, Cool McCain.
Oh, me too, buddy.
Oh, I don't want you or anybody to plant seeds of doubt in his head about Jalen Hurts and his possibility of not being the guy going forward. And this move is a sign of, all right, you better straighten up and fly right. Oh, I hope that's not the case.
I mean, it happened to Donovan McNabb at one point in his career.
Well, that is true. In the same organization. Yeah, so, yeah, you got a good point. The question I am going to ask is this. Now he tried to refute that he had a chip on his shoulder with Russell Wilson entering into the quarterback room in Pittsburgh. Do you think that he had a stiff upper lip starting with when he got demoted in place of Mason Rudolph to end last year?
I mean, I don't think anybody would enjoy it, right? And I'll be honest too, as a guy who's loosely, albeit covered both quarterbacks, I still think the flyer is out on Kenny Pickett. We know what Mason Rudolph is at this point. And frankly, I could see a universe, obviously it's not going to happen, as Mason Rudolph is himself wearing a completely different color jersey. He's not even in the States. He's going to do his best to not slip in mayonnaise. I get it. But with all the above in mind, I never thought Mason Rudolph was long-term the better quarterback yet. No. I think the jury's still out on Kenny Pickett. I think if he had more time to develop, I think if he has the right coaching staff, he could be good. Do I think it's Nick Sirianni and company? No, I don't. So that's why Jalen Hurts is safe. Trust me. I personally covered the Super Bowl where he had a chance to be an MVP until Patrick LaVon Mahomes II did that miraculous thing on a bad foot. So, excuse me, ankle, whatever.
A bad something.
What move right, Cole Johnson? I saw him limp to the podium for that MVP speech. It was motivating stuff.
Oh, Lord, not to the podium. Oh, no. Oh, Lord. A guy who actually covered the Super Bowl. That's awesome. Victor Locke, V like 83, or the guy who is known as Vicala, says good morning to the TFT tribe and a big hello to the EP of all EPs, Cole Johnson. Miss you on SITM. And ladies and gentlemen, also, this is the Ed McMahon of Snowman in the Morning, Victor Locke.
Listen, you know what I love there, Cole Johnson? You reading that comment, I enjoyed that the same way I enjoyed my eggs this morning with plenty of spice.
Oh, I like that. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And to my main man, my mentality brother, Wise LFA. Good morning, gentlemen. And good morning to you. Good morning to you, Wise. Oh, wonderful, wonderful show this morning. Catch him on Wise in the AM, 7 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Central. There you go. On the Real Wise TV YouTube channel. Real inspirational stuff. I should know. I executive produce that show too. So thank you. And good morning to you, sir. And Victor or Vicala says that same thing to you, Wise. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Kenny should have the chip on his shoulder. I don't think it's going to ruin the Eagles locker room, and I think it's not going to ruin his chances of being on the Eagles, because I think being Myth is going to help.
Yeah, I was going to say, wouldn't it motivate him further?
Yeah. I think being slighted and disrespected is going to help, and I think it's going to be rocky fuel for him.
Mm-hmm. I'm with that.
Yeah. So I don't think it'll be a problem. See, there we go. Now, the team that we love to talk. Well, let me do this correctly, ladies and gentlemen. Taking the stage right now, the man that repulses everybody, maybe for the exception of the Metroplex area. Give it up for Tyrone Alizé McDummy.
Ain't nobody calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, are you still involved? Delete! 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 Delete!
Okay, that's enough of Tam. All right. Let me see here. We were talking about the Cowboys. That's why I brought up Tam.
Oh, no, I'd love to meet him sometime, but he was so anxious to avoid getting eliminated by the 49ers that he lost to the Packers. I was sad.
And yes, for those who are unaware, Mr. Nash is a hardcore 49ers fan.
For those who that pod, I do have a 49ers cap on today. Correct.
Mm-hmm. Hardcore 49ers fan, and just like a 49ers fan, he will not miss a moment to take shots at Cowboys fan or the Cowboys organization.
I just want to be able to go on vacation with a Cowboys fan one time, but I'm always so busy in the postseason, I don't get a chance to. It's not fair.
Hawk TV, what's up, my man? It's good to see you. Top of the morning to you. It's been a minute. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see you. Well, we're going to talk about we're going to talk about a current Cowboy, and that's Dak Prescott. Dakota Prescott, they are slightly reducing his massive salary cap by reworking his contract going into the final year of his deal. Now, a $5 million bonus has been converted into a signing bonus to reduce that salary cap this coming season by $4 million to just over $55 million, and that's the hit that's going to be taken from that contract in 2024. Now, the Cowboys can create more salary cap relief with extension for Mr. Prescott, who is coming off a wild card loss, although he threw for 400 yards in the game. Yes, I heard you, Cowboys fan. No, he did all this 400 yards in the game. Yes, they were down 48-16 with 6 minutes to go. I digress. In their home loss to Green Bay that dropped his playoff record of 2-5. The Cowboys are continuing attempts to sign Prescott to a contract extension. I'm not going to go into what Gerald had to say. Now, my question to you, sir, is this reworking of Dak Prescott's contract, and we're going to talk about a couple of Cowboys, former, I guess. These free agent moves that we're still trying to see where they are. The letting go of Tony Pollard and other things that we'll talk about. Is this what Gerald was talking about? I'm sorry, I said this wrong. Is this what Gerald was talking about when he was saying the Cowboys were going all in this year?
I mean, first of all, if even as a non-Cowboy follower, to hear it's like, did you really believe LeBron when he was joining the Heat and forming the Heatles? Not 5, not 6, I didn't believe it when he said the Cowboys are all there. Listen, it's like me being told by Cowboys fans are going to be relevant. Show me first, and then I'll listen. And listen, I'm just looking. I'm not selling on Jera being all in. Maybe his moves are going to be in the draft, which, if you look, he's got some pretty good draft picks of late. He did form at one time an O-line that was brilliant. They've all aged out, unfortunately. That's how long ago that was. And it was basically a big part of what got Dakota going as a young quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
A playoff win if it wasn't for a guy, Aaron Charles Rodgers, playing football in the dirt to do another miraculous touchdown in the first round in Dakota's first playoff game. Like, listen, I'm not a guy who's here to blame Prescott. Do I think the Cowboys have paid him better than he is as a quarterback? Absolutely. Yeah, but when you're kind of that franchise face, you should get a little extra money for all the criticism and scrutiny that comes with, right? And, there's another alleged misconduct out there that's being investigated on Dak. And, but with him, it's not like Zeke. Yeah, it's not like with Zeke where you would be more inclined to go, oh, Lord. With Dakota, you're like, I'll wait. I'll see how it goes out because people have taken shots at that king and missed before, okay? Right. But all of the above to say, him stepping in to adjust the contract is in Dak's best interest to continue being a Cowboy and in the league. If you are a quarterback, if you are a player who takes entirely too much money and you underperform, that's how you get your butt run out of town. Or you played there, dropped a bunch of passes, and then leave town because you're a mercenary. Well, then the fans don't really blame you so much for leaving. But we'll talk more about that trade later in this particular piece. I see it in the notes. That's called a teaser, Cole Johnson. Anyways.
Now one that I'm glad I put in because of your expertise. But go ahead, sir.
No, but listen, that's why I don't really when Jerry says things, you got to take him with a grain of salt because he's a showman, and he's a sales guy, but he's a successful rich man who's allowed to be a salesman like that. A GM, well, we'll have that conversation on another episode, but
GM, no. But yes. I have heard the rumblings of some off the field stuff that may not look good with Rain Dakota, but I'm reserving judgment for that. And yes, his brother Tad just seems to want to keep his mouth running. I'm not going to go into that either. But Gerald has to do better. In terms of, if he has football men that is pulling the trigger, let them pull the trigger. And I agree with you. Greatest businessman in the history of the sport, and probably history of sports to me that I've seen. But GM, I agree. That's a horse of a different color and a topic of a different show. Oh gosh, but I think it's good that they're doing this for Dak.
Sure.
Because they want to, and I think you pointed out beautifully, the O-line that Tony Romo said they needed to have happen. Now, like you said, has, and you eloquently said it, they aged out, and now, well, they're rightfully either retiring or they're in the downside of their time, and they're going to be leaving sometime soon. Oh, did I foreshadow something? I think I did. Because one of those linemen, Tyron Smith, is now a former Cowboy. Yes, securing the top performer in their offensive line overhaul because they surely need it. The Jets agreed to terms Friday night with former Cowboys left tackle Tyron Smith, and he will sign a 1-year contract that could be worth up to $20 million with incentives, according to a source. The base value wasn't immediately available. Now, the aforementioned ayahuasca sipper, Aaron Rodgers, he's coming back off of Achilles surgery, off of only playing it counted only as 3 plays last year. The 4th was a penalty. We'll have a new look line in front of him because in the span of 5 days, the Jets have added Smith, left guard John Simpson, and right tackle Morgan Moses. Because the Jets had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL last season. They've had one of the worst lines in the last 4. I'm sorry, my bad. This is not editorial. This is business. Professional, Cole. Professional. All right. My question to you, Kyle Nash, is the following. Is this Tyron Smith signing, since this is a left tackle, a step in the right direction with the Jets?
Oh, indubitably. And you cited it greatly, despite the fact it may or may not have been editorial. Yeah, this was entirely an upgrade. Everything they've done to produce the protection up front and make it better is something they needed. And yeah, I like this move, even if it's only a stopgap for a single season. How much longer is Aaron Charlie Rodgers actually going to be there? Right. I mean, so if you got a stopgap guy, great. But the real thing they need to do is, hey, I tried to warn you, Jets fans, about Zach Wilson, but you wouldn't listen. And then you put Tim freaking Boyle out of UConn, who has more interceptions than touchdowns as the backup. But hey, that's what happens when royalty in the room decides, I want this guy and this guy to bring his royal court into the locker room instead of actually being able to play football. And then you have the nerve to hand Nathaniel Hackett a game ball when you beat the mess that he created in Denver. But let's not go down on that really right now because, hey, listen, this isn't editorial, right, Cole Johnson? No. Listen, at day's end, my guy, I think it's a great move, and you state all of the above best. I even called out on the Student of the Game podcast last season this time, that he was going to be an injury risk. Did I think 4 snaps? No. But, damn, maybe 4 games. But, sheesh. Yeah. That's a whole other conversation.
Yes, yeah, definitely not 4 snaps. And for those who are unaware, yes, I am not the biggest fan of Aaron Rodgers. I think he should retire, and I think he should be the clown that he is and accept the vice president nominee for Robert Kennedy Jr. But again, this is another topic for another show. Dante, what's up? Another Eagles fan. It's great to see. He says, "What's good, guys? Hope everything is good with you." He says he actually likes the move, and I do too. I do like the Jets move. He doesn't know, though, how to feel about the Jets altogether. I'm in the same boat, but I'll say this. The Jets defense, I like.
Yes.
I really like the Jets defense. I've liked them for the last 2 years. The offense is coming around. I mean, Gary Wilson needs more help. There's no question about that. And same with Breece Hall. I mean, you got pieces, but I think they need more. And if they can get more skill position pieces that could help anybody, heck, it doesn't matter if it is Rodgers or if it is Wilson, and God forbid if it is Zach Wilson again, or Trevor Siemian, whoever is going to be under center. Yeah, you need a lot of skill position players to help out.
Yeah, the piece I got to add to, Cole, is with the additions of the offensive line, that might help Breece Hall's help a little bit.
Yes, I think it will. And in fact, I think, in my opinion, yes, it will definitely help Rodgers. I mean, he needs all the protection possible. He's not as mobile as he was 10 years ago. So, yeah,
he's not leading the team in rushing yards anymore.
He will not come close to doing that. But you mentioned a really good point. It definitely will help Breece Hall. And I think it will definitely will lend itself wonderful for his health and for his production and for the defense too, because I know that, and you know too, that Mr. Robert Salah wants to have a ball control offense, even with the cannon arm that is the 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Latina, how you doing, girl? She says, good morning, Cole. Says, do you and Snowman still do morning shows? Well, we'll talk about that off air at another moment. But everything is good with my man Snowman and me. I'm with you, Dante. The jury is somewhat still out on the team as a whole, and my jury is the offensive coordinator of the team. Mm-hmm. I am not a fan of Nathaniel Hackett. And I mean, not even when he was the head coach of the Broncos that one year. I mean, I really wasn't a fan of him as the offensive coordinator for the Packers because I was like, okay, so you basically got put on because Rodgers gets you out of jams. That's the only reason why you got put on, and it's 2 reasons: that and you're the son of Paul Hackett, who actually was a quality offensive coordinator. But I mean, really? No. Mm-mm. No. Mm-mm. Not a fan. That's where my jury is out. It's him. The team, on the other hand, I think they're building to a juggernaut where they actually could compete against the Bills for the AFC East crown. Now, will they supplant them that next year for? We'll see. Who knows? It's there for the taking.
It's getting to be a tough division, Cole.
Yeah, it's there for the taking. And yeah, when you guys, well, you definitely say the worst team is easily the Patriots, but they might be shoring up some band-aid. They might be putting some band-aids on some cuts themselves. But yes, the AFC East between the Jets and Dolphins and the Bills, yeah, it's shaping out to be a real tough division for next year, no question. Speaking of tough divisions, and I'm glad you actually said it that way, let's focus on a quarterback that's going from one team in a tough division to another in that same division. That would be the Browns agreeing to terms with the former Ravens quarterback Tyler Huntley. It's a 1-year deal with the veteran minimum salary. That is what he's going to receive. Now, the Browns have 3 quarterbacks on their roster. Mr. Eat Them W's, Jameis Winston. Of course, you have Tyler Huntley himself. And then you have this guy. You know the guy that I'm talking about. Oh, yeah, girl. You know the position. Set. Oh, that Rumpet just hugging that seat so nice. Yeah. Towel, girl. Oh, yeah. Let's get to business. Let's get down to business. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is beautiful. This is Tyler Huntley's on the team. Wait, whoa, wait a minute. Wait just a second. This my groom. What the? Go. I feel better. I feel much better now. Now, my question to you, Mr. Nash. Now that you have Huntley there, and you have Winston there as well, are the Browns preparing for Deshaun Watson to not play next year?
First of all, worst ASMR ever. Second, you know what the arrival of Huntley represents is they're expecting a quarterback to not finish the season. Do you know how I know that, Cole? Because the Ravens did it previously with Lamar Demetrius Jackson. Okay, not to mention Watson hasn't played an entire season since his arrival there. Now, granted, obviously the first year was, let's just say, well, let's refer back to your audio sampling earlier, was suspended therein, to miss significant time. That's a separate football question and all of that. Then he got hurt. I think it was a shoulder thing last year where Joe Flacco was put in position to steal the comeback player of the year from, be it Tua Tagovailoa or Damar Hamlin, who battled back death. But listen, plenty on the student of the game critique the voters for that award that Damar Hamlin should have won hands down. Student of the game pick. So with all that in mind, what they're telling you is they have an insurance policy for Watson not finishing the season. And listen, I had said this when the allegations had first come in and he arrived with what is arguably the worst contract in sports at the time. Then Russell Wilson happened to the Broncos. But at the end of the day, that whole situation, I had predicted that Watson would mentally struggle with being the villain because he was such a beloved person who was performing at an MVP level in that locker room in Houston, or so we thought, right?
Right.
And now, like when I heard the boos in Everbank Stadium in Duval County for a preseason game.
Oh man,
this time 2 years ago, right? Or preseason 2 years ago.
Yeah.
How prolific his villainy was, right? So for me, the Huntley move is a fine insurance policy. Is he guaranteed time? No. Is it likely? I think so. I mean, put your history cap on, Cole Johnson.
Okay.
Michael Vick's success with the Atlanta Falcons, partially because of Matt Schaub filling in so nicely, because Michael Vick would inevitably miss games. I think the same thing kind of applies here. Granted, for a different reason. He's not as mobile as Michael Vick or anything like that, but the concept is to have that backup that's serviceable, that's ready to go. Huntley has some time where he helped the Ravens get to playoff games when Lamar Demetrius Jackson was hurt. So
that's true.
I hate the move for the Ravens.
I do too. But that's going to hurt them.
Yeah, but good for the Browns.
Yeah. And I'm with you. I winced because I was thinking, okay, so I know we'll talk about why they're a little ecstatic, but I was thinking, man, I think the at least the coaching staff of the Ravens, I think they felt a little secure with the fact they knew that Jackson was the starting quarterback and Huntley now was building time with them as the backup. And now that quarterback room is not going to be quite as cohesive in the coming year. But yes, you probably say, well, Cole, you're talking about the room that houses the guy that won his second MVP of his career. Yes, I know. Also talking about the guy who decided to throw picks in the AFC Championship game and showed that he may have regressed. But I digress. For the Browns, I think that is what we're seeing. But I'm thinking the pieces aren't, in terms of cohesion, fitting. I mean, Huntley is not an issue. He will do what's asked. It's, to me, the volume of it. So you have him, and you have Jameis Winston, who, God bless him. God bless him. I mean, when he was with the Bucs, and you would know better because you lived in the state. When he was with the Bucs, he tried to do his best, but he would have seasons where he would throw for 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, but he also threw 30 interceptions the same year.
I mean, if I may quickly, Cole Johnson, the proof is in the pudding on that. Brady came after him and took him to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He's allegedly the GOAT. Okay, fine. Baker Mayfield won a playoff game with this group.
That's where I was going to go. I'm like, yeah. So with the same unit that Winston was the quarterback of and only managed to get the mediocre at best stats. Yeah, you had one of the greatest of all time within 1 year take that same team to a Super Bowl and win it, and to a division title the next year, and a division title the year after that. And you had another quarterback to take him to yet another division title after that and a playoff win. So a Super Bowl win and two other playoff victories with two other quarterbacks on one side, Mr. Eat Them W's on the other, with the same squad. And I'm not talking about the fact that you put on the same helmets. I mean, with the same type of personnel. So he went from there to the Saints, where he was a clown show there. Let's just be completely honest. He was a clown show with the Saints. And now you have him in the locker room in Northeastern Ohio. I just don't. So you have probably the calmness in the center of the storm in Tyler Huntley. You have the clown show that is Jameis Winston. And then you have Deshaun Watson, who you so eloquently stated is now probably the biggest villain in the NFL right now. And oh, by the way, he's the biggest villain partially because he got the biggest guaranteed contract in the history of the sport. So, I mean, yeah. And you're coming off a season where the defense played lights out at home. They played on the road, but they were considered one of the best defenses. And oh, by the way, the best player on the team ended up having the Defensive Player of the Year awarded to him. And Myles Garrett, oh yeah, and the head coach got his second Coach of the Year in Kevin Stefanski.
Most underrated defense in the league last year, Cole. I don't think
100.
It's most underrated.
100. That's why when the Texans beat them the way they did and scored 31 points against them, I was pleasantly surprised because I didn't think they scored that many against that defense.
How much of it was old man Joe putting that defense in a bad position though? Let's call that what it is.
Oh yeah. Oh, no question. No question. and I expected some of that. I didn't expect it to be in bunches, because that's what I did not expect him in back-to-back drives to pick sixes. But that's neither here nor there. Dante says, "Look, what the heck was the Bears thinking?" I'm still asking that question.
Hey, I believe what were they smoking? I'm calling HR in Chicago too. I think you got the right idea, Cole.
Yeah,
let's get it tested.
Mm-hmm. And thank you, Dante, for the happy ending. Yeah, the happy ending for Deshaun lately was another quarterback. Why it says yes, Brees Hall should have also been considered. Yeah, and I'm glad he is now being considered. Latina says, pudding is actually blood sausage and white sausage. Wow.
First of all, I know she's trying to make a joke, but you can't be talking about sausage in the breakfast hour. I'm fat. Now I'm hungry. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. And that is this episode's. Then let me stop. Oh my goodness. I swear.
You can accuse me of a lot of things, Cole Johnson. Being boring isn't among them, okay?
Well, I'm glad you're not boring, and I'm accusing the Rams front office of not being boring as well. They signed Jimmy Garoppolo to a 1-year deal. The Raiders released Garoppolo this past Wednesday, just one season after he signed a 3-year deal, $72.75 million with the franchise. Now he will be suspended for the first 2 games of the upcoming season for I'm sorry, this is still hilarious to me, for violating the NFL's performance-enhancing drug policy. What performance was he enhancing? I'm sorry. The violation was said to be related to Garoppolo using a prescribed medication without having valid therapeutic use exemption from the NFL. Right. The Rams were reminded of the performance of the backup quarterback last season when Stafford injured his thumb mid-season against the Packers, and without Stafford and with Brett Rippon starting the game, the Rams only scored 3 points in said loss. So you got your backup. My question to you, though, is why does this man continuously get NFL contracts?
Well, okay, so listen, there's a couple angles to this, too. For one, the contract, he needs to have a ski mask, and the only reason why he's not wearing one is you don't want to hide that beautiful face. But for what he did to Vegas, he should be wearing a ski mask. That was highway robbery. I completely agree. But then again, it was Josh McDaniels. Remember, you got to say McDaniels because McDaniel is the guy in Miami, and the S on McDaniels is for sucks. So with all that in mind, going to him to upgrade that roster wasn't the answer. I could have told you that as somebody who's watching, the 49ers from across the damn country. What were you thinking? Who knows? This is also the guy that drafted Tim Tebow. What was it? 18th overall. So, okay, fine, sure. But yeah, let's make him a head coach again. Anyways, all that being said, no editorial, Kyle, focus. One thing he's proven beyond a reasonable doubt, and you can't question this, wherever he is, he's been a force in the locker room that people have appreciated. I mean, go through what happened with the 49ers. He was supposed to be all but out, right? His last year there, he was supposed to be all but out. The trade was supposed to happen. It doesn't for whatever reason. He's on a roster of a team. It's very well clearly stated in the cards. He was not their first choice, but the dominoes fall. He steps in. They flawlessly continue to make a playoff run with eventually Brock Purdy, who then himself goes down. And then the Eagles thought they were all that in a bag of chips because they won a playoff game with dang Christian McCaffrey at quarter. Oh, look what happened the next year. Anyways, to be that could get supplanted like that, shouts to Cool McCain. Anyways, a guy who can get supplanted like that.
Shouts at the Eagles, too. Wow.
I mean, listen, I am an equal opportunity, Anyways, listen, if the Niners are doing something wrong, I'd take shots at them too. How often have I talked trash on Mike Tomsula? It's been that long since I still take shots at Trent Bolton for what he did in San Francisco, and I write Jaguar report. Bing!
That's a name I haven't heard in a while. Goodness gracious. You pulling names out of hats. Wow. Okay.
Cole Johnson, you don't want to hear that name unless you're going to a pizza store, because that's what he looks like. He looks like a guy who's going to pizza. No, but all that in mind, the reason why Garoppolo is a good roster addition for the right price is I think he's a serviceable backup, and he's a guy in the locker room that's a positive force. Think Mark Brunell with Mark Sanchez with the Jets and that group that twice Tom Brady in the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or I was thinking, or Mark Brunell and Kurt Warner when Mr. Drain Mississippi out of his funds was starting quite a. Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to say that. Oh, wow, that's in poor taste. I'm so sorry. Oh my, I should say stuff like that. That's gonna get leaked out to the press. No, I shouldn't say stuff like that.
That's gonna hurt your ASMR performer career, bro. Watch yourself.
Oh my gosh. But Jimmy, I'm glad you fleeced another team. Hopefully you will have a longer stay in LA than with the Raiders. Goodness gracious. Quentin Jefferson. Now, you've not heard this name. He is a defensive lineman in the NFL, obviously. He was with the Jets. Now he's with the Browns because he agreed to a one-year deal with the team. The 30-year-old enjoyed one of his most productive seasons last year, and after being released by the Seahawks, which was his second stint with the team, he signed a one-year, $3.6 million contract with the Jets and wound up playing 14 games, all of them starts. He recorded a career-high 6 sacks, and 34 tackles before his season ended prematurely back in December when he suffered tears to both sides of his groin. Jeez, Quentin. Each tear requiring surgery. And at the end of the season, he expressed returning for OTAs in the spring. Well, you a bad brother if you can withstand that and be in OTAs, and that's like a 5-6 month window. Wow. Okay. I'll salute you just on that, my man. But my question to you, Kyle Nash, is this going to help the Browns defensive front more, or is it going to hurt the Jets defensive front worse?
I think this is because of all the injuries and Q being a player with some years on him. I think this is going to be more helpful to the Browns than it is detrimental to the Jets. Now, granted, Q, the reason why they call him Q for short, for all you Star Trek nerds out there, is because he exists on a different plane and seems to have magical powers and can alter physics with the snap of his fingers when he's on a line, or at least he could do that in his youth, right? Now, it's good for the Jets to not necessarily throw him a bag with his status. You said it yourself. 2 groin strains at the same time. Ouch. But
yeah,
I think with that Browns defense, to add depth, think what the Super Bowl bound Eagles did, the ones that were runners up to the Kansas City Chiefs, with their defensive tackle group, right? You had Fletcher Cox, you had Ndamukong Suh, and just a rotation of solid and a couple veterans. I think the Browns throwing that in here is a fantastic play for them to add depth to a team that's already excellent on defense. I like the move for the Browns, and I can see the Jets' point of view. Football is a business, folks.
You know who's smiling the widest, though, when we mentioned him earlier, the aforementioned defending Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett, because I think he has been needing to have some sort of attention on that line to be taken away from him, because I saw a stat where it said that the only player that was double teamed more than him last year was Micah Parsons. He was the second most doubled in the game last year. So any help, especially on the line, that that Myles Garrett can get will be welcomed. And I think a space eater, and I love space eaters. I have an affinity for space eaters. Any space eater that could actually help a guy who can rush the quarterback is welcomed, because, well, hey, he can stop the run and force teams to pass more, which would give more one-on-ones to pass rushers. And you had Myles Garrett, who was doubled and still got 14 sacks last year. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to help the Browns' defensive front more. It's going to hurt the Jets. because that defense still, I think, is going to chug further along. And I mean, heck, they got Quentin Williams there, so I mean, they're not going to be hurting real bad, and they'll probably draft somebody in Quentin Jefferson's place.
And real quick, for historical example, right? The guy who was behind Sam Adams and Haloti Ngata, who had his career extended,
Ravens.
One Ray Lewis. Very good, Cole Johnson. Yes, that's a practical example of an extension of a career because you brought in a guy in the middle.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what the guy in the middle defensively is supposed to do. Help out pass rushers and keep the middle linebacker's jersey clean. That's what a defensive tackle, especially if it's a nose guard, is supposed to do. So if he could do that job, that's good with them, and I think that'll be good with the Browns, because it actually might end up making a star out of some middle linebacker there. Who knows?
Extending the career of a star, yeah.
Or extend the career of a star. Lieutenant says, "Look, I'm not making a joke. I'm serious. Irish blood sausage, and I'm not sure what the white sausage is, but I'm thinking it has oats in it,
possibly a bratwurst, something like that."
Yeah. Says, because I am an equal opportunity hater.
Tell him.
I don't mind that. I like that. I'm sorry. I did that all wrong. My bad. Kurt, I'm taking your job, sir.
You like that? You like that?
Oh my goodness. I love my tribe. I'm sorry, I love our tribe. Goodness gracious. Now, someone close to your home. Calvin Ridley. After facing each other twice during the regular season, the Titans and the Jaguars faced off for a third time, but this time it was in free agency. Why? Because they were battling for the services of one wide receiver, Calvin Ridley. The Titans swooped in at the last minute and signed Ridley to a 4-year, $92 million contract that included $50 million guaranteed, after he finished the season with 76 receptions for over 1,000 yards with 8 touchdowns for the Jags last year. Ridley's decision to join the Titans or the Jags was a tough one, and he said, quote, "I really wanted to honestly be with the Jags, but there was a lot of things that wasn't working out for me. Then obviously the money was pretty good, so I went with that, and yeah, I'm here." Close quote. Now, since I now have a Jaguars insider with me on TFT, now I'm really excited to ask this question. Why did he want to punish himself by being a Titan?
I think there is a certain song that states this best. Hey, must be the one. Hey, listen, He's out there talking about what he's talking about in that quote, which was, again, eloquently delivered with spice on it, only the way that Cole Johnson can do. But you're also leaving out other stuff that is out there in the ether in the media about him, no state tax and this like that. Dude has outed himself as a straight mercenary. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about mismanagement of the roster such that it is in Jacksonville, and I'll be talking to Jacksonville News Force Jamal St. Cree on the Student of the Game this week about that very same thing. Nice. But the punchline is this, my guy. The biggest part of it, I really think the Jags were bamboozled by him a wee bit. And you talk about facing off against the Titans. It was no face-off. These dudes went straight ninja, rogued with the bad backstab, gave him an offer he couldn't refuse, and the Jags were not willing to match. Now, granted, I make up the backstab thing, for imagery, but perhaps a more peaceful version. In the movie Ray, Jamie Foxx portrays Ray Charles going to the studio he's about to jump to by saying, "This money's a pretty goddamn good deal. Can you match it?" And when the Jags realized they got to pay Josh Allen, when they realized eventually down the line they'll have to pay Trevor Lawrence, and a number of players such as Andre Sisco and their receiver core also has to be augmented with all of the above. I see what you're doing, Cole Johnson, and I love it, by the way. At the end of the day, the Jags weren't prepared to pay that. The bad part of it is having to give up that second draft pick to the Falcons for the deal made. Mm-hmm. Really, a provision should have been made somehow for if the Titans or some team swooped in like that. I know everybody's shouting, "Oh, you should have signed Josh Allen." I don't think that was a practical ask because they're going to wait till the 11th hour to get the best possible deal.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to franchise Josh Allen or else he's going to walk.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have multiple franchise tags. It left Ridley vulnerable. And frankly, for all the passes he dropped, he's got among the most drops for a receiver that's not in Kansas City's roster, okay? Everybody seems to have forgotten about that. By the way, ironically, having key drops against the Chiefs that prevented the Jags from winning the game, yep, I'm saying the Jags should have beaten the defending world champions.
Well, the game was only 17-9, so yeah.
Trust me. Look at the first quarter, look at the second, or look at the first half, look at the second half. Each has a key Calvin Ridley drop preventing the victory, okay? But the punchline being this, my good friend, for all the drops, for all the big plays he didn't make down the stretch, the Jags were not prepared to pay what the Titans did. And listen, good on him for doing his best Kirk Cousins impression and stealing the hell out of some big money. But, I do like it for the Titans for one reason, though. If you're going to commit to the mayonnaise messiah, slinging it down the field, D'Amico Ryans on one side and Calvin Ridley on the other, makes a ton of sense. And, hey, in Calvin Ridley's defense, if the ball's getting intercepted, technically he can't drop it. So there you go.
The mayonnaise messiah. Okay.
I can't take credit for that. That's the general Mike Patton. Bing! So, yeah.
About another one of my brothers. And, we got to hook up, Mike. Love you, brother. Mr. Touring the AFC South doing big things.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my. Snowman, he says, hey, two of my faves. Good to see you, man. He says, shout out to the EP extraordinaire in Comey Media, or Cole Johnson. And he also says, stuck my mind's on Wise LFA, musings galore with Vicola and Hawk TV. Good to see you, brother. Glad that you're aboard.
That's a lot of things in that comment, by the way.
Yeah, it's a lot of things. So yeah, there it is.
There you go.
That is a lot of them. Well, all right. I'll keep my analyst hat on for this comment. The Titans need as much as possible in terms of talent. They need talent. They need to scour it from wherever they can get it. I don't care where it is. Heck, it could be a division rival. It doesn't matter. They need to have talent on that team because that squad is going to scour the toilet, and I mean the rim. I mean, it is just putrid and horrible. Now, put the analyst hat off. Put the fat hat on. Calvin, why do you want to be on the fake Oilers? Get off of that burning Columbia Blue train before it wrecks completely your career and the other 52 members of the team that you're going to walk out on the field come September. That is a ship you do not want to be on. Okay. I'm so glad that the Texans kicked you out the playoffs last year. Okay, there you go. As you can see, you're not the only one who can dish all the petty. I can be petty too sometimes.
I had no doubt, Cole Johnson. A master of the craft, my man. Do the thing.
Thank you, sir. And yes, and Snowman, thank you, brother. I hope everything is well with you. Keep getting better. Keep healing. He says because he was not driving. He's back driving, and he's going to be back in the chair full time in 2 months, and I look forward to seeing you rock it hard when you get back to the chair in that 2 month span, because you do need to take time off for yourself. Very few do it better than you, my brother. Very few, and I know that because I have sat personally beside you. But Calvin Ridley, if I were the Jags, I would throw a party that you're no longer on the team, not because of you, but because of where you're going. Because I'd be laughing that you're going to Nashville. Now, we were speaking about the Browns earlier, and we actually hinted at the Ravens earlier too. Mr. Joe Flacco, who is the current reigning and defending comeback player of the year, he now is going to be on the Colts. He reached an agreement with the Colts on a 1-year deal worth close to $9 million. And, of course, he last season played for the Browns and won, as I said, the aforementioned Comeback Player of the Year award. He will receive $4.5 million in guaranteed deals if, of course, he hits certain incentives. Of course, he will back up and mentor second-year quarterback Anthony Richardson. I know you all know you all forgot. Yes, you all thought that Minshew was the quarterback. Now he's with the Raiders. Yes, the guy that supposedly was going to lead this team left, of course, in week 2 in the victory over the Texans, limping the second quarter off the field and being concussed at the same time. Flacco will also provide some peace of mind for the Colts after Richardson missed 12 games as a rookie. He missed more than 12. And following a season shoulder-ending surgery, one game earlier in the campaign because of sad concussion. Now, my question to you is the following. Can Joe Flacco properly guide Anthony Richardson, or will he try to snake him and compete for the starting job?
I mean, who are you going to pick? Mac Jones? No, listen. I mean, I have my own opinions on whether or not Joe Flacco is the comeback player of the year, but that has nothing to do with how good an example I think he can set for Anthony Richardson, right?
True.
If you're looking for somebody who is going to help a quarterback who is a very physical player, who's a very athletic player, to have better concepts of how to be a bit more pocket-based. And by the way, I'm not saying he should abandon who he is. I think he should augment what he is as a passer. And
there you go.
He has some touch. He can make some good throws.
Yes.
I think it's just his instincts that are the problem. Listen, I'm an Anthony Richardson guy. I really thought he should have been in Carolina, not Bryce Young. But hey, listen, when you take enough hits, even big guys get taken out, right? And yeah, I think that's exactly all of it. What was it earlier? We were talking about historically, Cole Johnson, Michael Vick, and Matt Schaub. This is another version of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I like the move. I think the Colts are a wild card because if they could stay healthy and put together a full season for once, they could be a threat in that division. No disrespect to the Texans. But, I think they could at least compete and be the second team in the division if everything goes right. But I have no reason to believe that that'll be the case until I see Richardson get a touch more disciplined in his approach.
Yeah. And I thought going into the season, I was like, I love Richardson's ability. There's no question. When I saw him in Florida, I was like, yeah, I think he can make it in NFL. All he has to do is just tighten up some stuff, and I think he'll actually be a really good quarterback and dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
When he took the field against the Jags to begin the season, I was thinking, I like what he could do, but man, I think he needs to learn. And you said it. I think he needs to learn pocket presence a little better.
And how tough is it to start out battling Josh Allen up front? By the way,
right. He had to stare across the line of scrimmage, stand at that beast. So he did that. Unfortunately, lost, and then in the win against the Texans the following week, he gets concussed and he limps off the field too. So I'm with you. I think this will help his game to have Joe Flacco there to teach him the finer points of quarterback in the NFL. And this is not to say, well, you're going to erase him with his instincts. No, his instincts is why he got to the league. Yep. And his instincts are going to keep him in the league. It's just that you need to have him accentuate those instincts with the talent that he could actually unearth with the cannon of an arm he has. So, yeah, utilize that arm more, utilize that brain more, and utilize the possible accuracy that you could possibly teach him in the process of going through progressions, of doing proper checkdowns, of knowing in whatever play you call what guy the right guard is supposed to block.
Mm-hmm.
Have the finer nuances of the quarterback. That is what will elevate Anthony Richardson. And I will always say this with a quarterback that's athletic. They should all take tapes, and that'll make you really smile, Mr. Nash. Take tapes of one Steve Young and watch him. Watch him when he was with the Bucks. Then watch him about 7 years or so later when he was entrenched as a starting quarterback of the 49ers. Mm-hmm. 2 night and day QBs. And And it still did not derail him from when he smelled that, okay, nobody's open, he took off and ran. You can still do that. But it's best to have two reasons to why defensive coordinators have the game plan for you instead of one.
I mean, we live in a world where the top quarterbacks in this league right now are all mobile. Hey, listen, even the creepy white guy with the long hair in Jacksonville is mobile.
He's mobile. Yes, right.
You know, a conversation I had with both Michael Vick and Kurt Menefee. It transcends any stereotype right now. You need an extra option to move with your legs, period, point blank, end of story.
No question. Look at Kyle Nash dropping the mic. Yes, I agree with you. But I think this is good for you, Anthony, and I'm looking forward to the progression that you have because you got Flacco now in your ear coming in 2024. That's going to be good for him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we did talk about one former Saint. We now have to talk about another former Saint. Wide receiver Michael Thomas spent his last Saturday night reminiscing on social media. Hurry, don't be late. I can hardly wait. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Thomas wrote about the work he had done in the local community in New Orleans and posted pictures of himself playing in Caesars Superdome. Sorry. The wording. My bad. He also reposted a picture of himself with retired quarterback Drew Brees and running back Alvin Kamara on the sideline that was captioned, "And then there was one." On Wednesday, the Saints released Thomas in a post-June 1st cut, a formality as its exit has been forecasted for several months. It's a move that showed that the Saints were prepared to move forward with their young trio wide receivers of Chris Olave, A.T. Perry, and Rashid Shaheed. Now, my question to you, sir. Who wants to have Michael Thomas on their squad?
Oh, man, listen, this is something where it's going to be all about the price that dictates it. But, I mean, we've seen guys like A.J. Green after a long career in Cincy, be able to be a threat as a third option or something. He just can't be the guy. Who's somebody that has a great receiver but needs one more weapon, that kind of thing. If Kirk Cousins hadn't fleeced the Falcons and was still playing for the Vikings, I'd say put him with Justin Jefferson, right? Those are two guys that he could bestow some knowledge, maybe be on the other side of that kind of thing. And whoever the Vikings go with at quarterback, the assumption is they're going to draft, obviously. I think that is something that makes sense. Also, by the way, playing indoors, something Thomas is used to, spending most of his career at the Superdome, such that it is. But the numbers got to be right. Thomas has got to be humble enough to know he is not the big name guy that he was, right? So I just off the top of my head, that's the best fit. I could see a world where maybe the Steelers consider it if they want another weapon. Get somebody to help polish Pickens a bit. I don't know that's my favorite choice, but yeah, those are the two things that jump off the top of my head right there.
Pickens would need it, but I almost get the feeling though that wide receiver room will be a bit crowded. But but I agree with you. I think Pickens would benefit from a more veteran wide receiver on the team.
Oh, maybe replacing Odell in Baltimore.
That would be a welcomed addition for the Ravens because they need all the wide receiver help they can get. Because Lamar Jackson can't just target Zay Flowers as a wide receiver all the time. Yes, I know. Cole, he has Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is a tight end.
Facts of the case.
Right. But yes, Zay Flowers would be loving it. Obviously, it just didn't work out with OBJ, as you mentioned. They just simply didn't know what to do with the dude.
It was a 1 year. It was a 1 year rental deal anyway, and that's okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that happens.
They're having fun seeing how the flowers are growing.
Oh, I need to work with you more often. The Texans and Joe Mixon, the former Bengals running back, agreed to a deal last week. Yes, 2 days after trading for Joe Mixon, the Houston Texans agreed to give him a deal worth $27 million, and that contract extension will include $13 million guaranteed. Last Tuesday, the Texans traded for Mixon and gave the Bengals a 7th-round draft pick. Wow. And of course, this was expected after he was expected to be released after the Bengals reached a deal with former Colts running back, free agent Zach Moss. I'm sorry. The Texans hope Mixon, who did rush for over 1,000 yards last season and 9 touchdowns, can bolster their 2023 rushing attack. That was a porous 28th. Now, Mixon said that the trade was a shocker for him, going so far as to say the following, quote, I got to say it was definitely shocking. I took that 24 to 48 hours to hurt. It took a while, and I'm still having emotions feeling about it. But that was the place where I can forever feel like it's home for me. Close quote. Now, that was actually a mature response for the 27-year-old, and now he no longer is playing in Cincy. He now is in Houston. My question to you is, do you think this is an upgrade for a departing Devin Singletary, who now is a giant in the Texas backfield?
Listen, I'm a guy who likes Devin Singletary. I feel like he hasn't had a great shake in the NFL overall with the way he was misused and unaccounted for. I saw him twice as he came to the bounce house over here in Orlando. I covered them with the black and gold banneret. I say all the above to say this, regardless of how I feel about him in college and the mass amount of yards he put up on UCF. The whole piece comes down to this. It's about fit. And I think Joe Mixon is a better fit overall when you're starting to be one of the AFC South teams that's embracing becoming more of a pass-based offense. And this is something I've gone over a bit on the Student of the Game, Bing, and both on Duval Dive as well. The AFC South was once regarded and seen as a run-first, pound you right in the face team. Now, granted, with the Texans, it was more out of necessity because they didn't have the quarterback. But Pierce was a good running back and was carrying a lot of that load. By the way, you might have heard of these Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry guys. They were eyed at the position. Oh, I'm sorry. I just got stiff-armed in the face because I didn't give them the proper credit. But the punchline's this. The Jags with Trevor Lawrence started to turn the tide with having a franchise quarterback that can make a difference. Now C.J. Stroud's there. We're in a World 2 where Anthony Richardson has arrived and could be improving, as we talked about earlier. If you need a running back that can catch passes, that can get out in the open field and be a real threat, can Singletary do that? Kind of, but not the same way as a guy who used to play with Joey Burr. Moreover, Mixon's getting on a team that is upward trending, while the Bengals, with all due respect to them as a team I picked to make the Super Bowl last year, and then Joey Burr got hurt. But with all that in mind, I feel like they're downturning. I don't think they could keep T. Higgins in the building for any extended period of time.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, and you can't pay everybody in there. You're going to pay Joey Burr. Like, obviously, he has been paid. What am I saying? And then Jamar Chase, right? You aren't going to keep T. Higgins in the building for another big contract because you can't. No. It'll be interesting to see what that front office does. Historically, not great, Bob. So I feel like this is a good move for Mixon, if he's trying to put a ring on it, as Beyonce has demanded of many.
If you're looking to show the ring on it. I'm sorry, my bad. I just dig when you go Burrow and you go Burr.
Yes,
well, unfortunately, I think Bengals fans will be going Burr real soon because it's going to get mighty cold. I look, and I'm not hating on the Bengals. It's just, if Burrow is not going to be healthy all the while, and I really would like for them to actually have a running game.
Yeah, that's
going to hurt him even more, figuratively, emotionally, and physically. Then the downturn probably is about to start for the Bengals, and I agree with you. Because look, one of the most explosive combinations, obviously, is Burrow to Chase. There's not even a question about that. But it was aided by the fact that you had, like you said, a running back who could basically pull a Marshall Faulk, but not as well with running up the middle.
Yeah, in the spirit of Marshall Faulk, right?
Yeah, the spirit of Marshall Faulk. Yeah, it just couldn't run up the middle as strongly as Marshall Faulk, and probably couldn't pick up the blitz quite as well as of right now as Marshall Faulk. But in the spirit of him, that's basically what the role that Joe Mixon played, and that's the role you're describing as what he'll play with the Texans, which I agree. I think that's what they're going to be doing in that backfield. Basically have him, okay, yeah, every now and then hit the hole. We have someone who's going to hit the hole more in Dameon Pierce. But yeah, spread that defense wide, and you'll be another option, which is loaded already with a whole lot of them. And I'm not going to go down the laundry list of them. I could, but this is not a Texans show. This is a full football show.
Total.
But that's right, total football show. But yeah, I do agree. I think this is an upgrade for the reason that you stated. When they the Texans tried to do the same thing with Singletary, it was with mixed reviews. And to me, I like Singletary from the standpoint of I think he's a little more on the traditional side.
Mm-hmm.
And if they went more that route, I think they would have had better success running the ball. But I get it. Running is not just a running back. I mean, you have the 5 guys in front of them that's supposed to help out in the running game too. And oh yeah, the quarterback actually, yes, I know this sounds real strange. Quarterback, running game, yes. The quarterback is essential to help out the running game, and I'm not just talking about with his legs. Because there's times when he should go to the running game and times when he shouldn't. Because he is supposedly the coach on the field, and he could diagnose when it's a good time for a running play and when it isn't. So you got 6 guys who are supposed to help that running back succeed before he even touches the ball. So yes, I get it's not just the running back. But yeah, I think that this helps the offense a little more, and the offense coordinator Bobby Swoak is going to be smiling because he's going to have one extra weapon at his disposal. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see how Joe Mixon mixes in with the Texans.
I see what you did there.
Thank you, sir. Now back to, I won't say your beloved Jaguars, but back to the team that supplies to pay for you in the Jaguars. Defensive lineman Eric Armstead, familiar name. I know you've heard him. He was a stalwart figure for the 49ers, being there for about a decade. Well, he signed a 3-year deal worth $51 million with the Jaguars. The 49ers released Armstead last week after he and his team failed to work out a restructured contract. He's coming off a season when he's played only 12 games with 27 tackles and 5 sacks for the NFC champion 49ers. I know that breaks your heart, sir. Why does it not really break Mr. Nash's heart? Because he also is coming off a torn meniscus in his right knee, an injury he suffered in the aforementioned win that he did say that took place in December in South Philly. Mm-hmm. Armstead finished that game after suffering the injury on the second play, but he did not play again until the divisional round win against the Packers. The 30-year-old appeared in all three of San Francisco's playoff games, posting 11 tackles, a sack, and 7 pressures on 148 snaps. And he said last month that while on knee surgery will require a lengthy recovery, his hope is to return sometime in late July or August as training camps got underway. Now, if you were on this program, I would ask a different question, but I'll ask this anyway. So you have Josh Allen, who is now, I think, becoming the best player on the Jaguars.
Mm-hmm. I think that's been the case for some time. But
I agree. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, no, I'm not talking about the quarterback of the Bills. Okay. Will this help Josh Allen on the Jaguars defensive line?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you referencing Josh Allen on Josh Allen Crime, first of all. That's one of my best read articles on the Jaguar Report. Bing! So that. But no, listen. As I've been interestingly conflicted here about this as I follow the 49ers, but I write for the.
Of course.
I appreciate that the Niners are moving on from him. Football being a business, their cap situation. It's always tough to manage a roster that good when you were a mere single stop on 4th down and overtime away from winning the Super Bowl. Let's not forget that.
That's correct.
So with all that in mind, him being a part of that group, it's obviously a significant loss. Him coming off the injury and the Jags getting him on a lesser contract to find some way to stopgap the cutting of Falarantu Fatukasi, who was basically their best and I'm not going to say only run stopper, but certainly the most significant force up front to help then, eat space for guys like Foye Oluokun and the rest of that linebacker core, who isn't my favorite part of that defense. But I digress. The punchline's this. I love this move for the Jags because even though he's going to be a late arriver, once he gets in on that line, he's not going to be pulling, the same load necessarily. He'll be the primary run stopper force in the middle, absolutely. But then when you're augmented by presumably a Josh Allen and a Trayvon Walker on the other side, who got his first year in double-digit sacks, and should Armstead need help, Trayvon is versatile enough to be kicked inside. That I think this is a great situation for him. He'll be asked to do a little less. Think a scenario where when Christian McCaffrey used to be the main force entirely for the Panthers, now getting help and augmented in a committee as part of a offense that has several pieces like the Niners does, right? I'm not here to say that Armstead didn't have pieces, but I think this is a scenario where he'll be in a position to where he doesn't have to do everything in the middle. He's just going to be a big part of subduing that run game and eating up space for Oluokun.
Okay. Because if you were going to be on the program, I would have asked you this question, and I think you answered it. I would have asked, all right, so Armstead, who was a mainstay on that defensive front, is there a proper replacement that the 49ers have on their team now, or would they have to go to free agency or the draft to supplant him?
I'm trying to, off the top of my head, I feel like they picked up a guy who, again, you don't replace Armstead, you just hope to succeed him.
Right.
And I know Chase Young's already left and all that. There's going to be some rebuilding that's taking place at day's end. You still have Bosa. You still have a significant front. You have arguably the best linebacker core in the league. They're going to be out, I think. Do they have enough to get back to the Super Bowl? Maybe. I think that's more about how Brock continues to progress. I would call this year arguably his sophomore year as far as starting another full season, right? So with all that in mind, I think that's going to be the biggest piece, is to see if this offense can remain consistent as everybody ages another year. We don't know Brandon Ayuk's status, but defensively, yeah, I think they're still going to be a force. Are they going to be as good as they were? Maybe not necessarily at stopping the run per se, but I still think they have plenty there to get pressure and some of the best coverage linebackers in the league on that team. So they're just going to do it a different way, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree with you, and you'll like this. 49ers, no, I'm not going to direct it to them. I'm going to direct it to Kyle Shanahan. Mr. Shanahan, why did you have to have my mentality partner, Wise El Jefe, derail the show to mention that you should have been the one to be fired instead of Steve Wilkes? That upset me. I'm like, I didn't want to hear about free Steve Wilkes on the show. We weren't even talking about the 49ers or him or you. But my partner felt it compelling to actually interject that to say free Steve Wilkes. Oh, my goodness.
Well, I think the tough part there is I think this is the first time a coach hasn't filled in immediately and nicely. Like, let's put a little perspective on that. By the way, I'm not saying Wilkes was necessarily a bad coach. I think that was a fit issue. And now Wilkes is going to get a job somewhere else where he's a better fit and it's better for his career. So rather than victimizing Shanahan, why can't we just see that maybe he's making a better career move for himself? A. B. How you replace Robert Saleh? Oh, you find D'Amico Ryans. Well, how you replace D'Amico Ryans? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's a tough ask to get a third straight coach in a row to do that. And they still got to the Super Bowl. And there were some blunders performed in the postseason that were at Steve Wilkes' hands. Were they fireable offenses? I wouldn't think so, but I don't have that call. And when you've been let's just say, perennial deep playoff runner like the 49ers are, sometimes it be like that. Listen, let's go to the NBA side and make a comparison. I know this is a total football show, but like Stan Van Gundy did not need to be fired, yet Pat Riley came in and won a championship doing it. I'm just saying, it's that kind of thing.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, and then that happened with David Blatt and Tyronn Lue. My bad. All right. Yeah, this is. Yeah, you have a good point. I agree with you, sir. So the Titans have their running back Derrick Henry. No, they don't, because now the Titans running back Derrick Henry is now the Ravens running back Derrick Henry. Only 3 questions into his introductory news conference with the Baltimore Ravens, Derrick Henry, dressed in purple and black, nice suit by the way, addressed the biggest concern about his future. The question being, what was the star running back's response to those who say his best days are behind him? His answer, quote, tell them to keep watching. People always going to have something to say, always going to have opinions. I'm just ready to work, ready to get things started, and do my best to help this organization. Close quote. Now, my question to you is the following. Will the Derrick Henry acquisition make the Ravens AFC frontrunners come 2024?
Absolutely, on paper. And we alluded to this earlier. I love
how you said that.
Yeah, absolutely on paper. And listen, I talked to Brandon Howard on the Student of the Game last week, CBS fantasy editor. Bing! And he had said that he sees Derrick Henry capable of getting 1,400 yards with the Ravens. Maybe. I think he'll lose some in touchdowns because, listen, L-Jack going to get in there and do some business. You don't forget he can run the dang football too. And I like the concept about Lamar Demetrius Jackson being wind while Derrick Henry be that earth and fire, okay? Listen, it won't just be on the 21st night of September. I can guarantee you that. So, I had to complete the circle, Cole Johnson. Don't judge me. But the punchline's this, bro. I think this is a good addition, but the bold assumption made has nothing to do with Derrick Henry, in my opinion. It is about Lamar Demetrius Jackson finishing another full season. And you don't have Hundley in the cupboard anymore because I'm presuming you let him go so you could pay for this move. And it's that aspect isn't my favorite, but I'm not mad at the Ravens doing it. They have acknowledged their error in the AFC Championship game. Was that the championship? I forget. But the point is, playing the Chiefs, they acknowledge their error in not running the football as much as they should have. And they said, well, listen, maybe we were afraid to run it because of Patrick LaVon Mahomes II being over there, and Keenan Mitchell had suffered a brutal injury, which I saw at Everbank. That was awful.
Yeah.
And maybe this is something that gives them that bag to believe that have the belief rather to run the football when it's time. And it's hard to beat Derrick Henry for that. And him, and if they have enough running presence to actually sustain a committee, all the better than again for Derrick Henry.
Yeah, you're right. It was the AFC Championship game. And yes, the Ravens, well, the whole team of the Ravens had to say this to the Chiefs.
Acknowledge me.
Well, the Chiefs had to say to the Ravens, I'm sorry. Well, the reason why I winced and smiled at the same time, Earth, Wind & Fire, my favorite musical act of all time. So, yeah, you can never go wrong when you reference Earth, Wind & Fire in front of me.
Paying tribute to the greats, bro.
I got to. Got to. Sig Dicky, all over from Norway, says, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good afternoon to you, sir. He says, you can't stop size from turning into bizarro size. I think you mean wise, sir. He will come out whenever he wants. And I might actually have to steal that. Size. Not call him wise, call him size. Okay. No.
And then he checks it. Yeah.
Dude, September Earth, Wind, Fire is my jam. How dare you?
I'm just putting the jam on the toast. I want to have some of it too. We all love it. What's wrong?
That's true. That's true. This edition of Total Football Talk is brought to you by Yuck Mouth Dental Insurance. Either keep it minty, fresh, or keep it shut. That's Yuck Mouth Dental Insurance. And yes, I agree with you. And while we go on the break, do you remember the 21st night of September? Love was changing the minds. We'll be right back. Pretenders, while we're chasing the clouds away.
All right, let's go. We got trips, right? At 42, 989. On two. Ready? Break.
We're just getting started. Total Football Talk will return right after this.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. You Kids on the Block, New Edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
Ready to hang with some fellas who know football? Let's ride. LC Muscles 28.
I think they're the most overrated defense in the league.
Steel Sermon.
We did not trail for a single second.
Tiny Tim.
McCarthy is a bonehead.
A Pizzle 90.
I'm going with my boys. Fins up, baby.
Get ready for the Four Horsemen of Peckham's. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on YouTube. Poppy J.
You got the option to cry for the government. You got the option to protest. You got the option to keep buying. But this is also an option.
Wise El Jefe.
We're the first tech geeks. We're the first gamers. We're the first everything. Everything. Like Gen X's, we are the ones.
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Poppy J and Wise El Jefe. Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.
Don't adjust your iPads, iPhones, or smartphones, or TV sets, or your computer manuals. Welcome back to Total Football Talk. That is not Drew Willingham. That is Kyle Nash. And with Kyle Nash, I am Cole Johnson. It's been a pleasure thus far. I'm looking forward to the rest of this show. Hopefully, I have done you justice and well. And
More than enough, my friend. More than enough.
I appreciate that. Six says, look, at least nobody's playing bass. Yeah. Oh, my bad.
I almost came in with their trumpets. But, you know.
There you go. Oh, my bad. I could keep going. I love Earth and Fire. Why would
you apologize for that, Cole Johnson? Lean in.
Lean in. Okay, fine. I'll lean in. I could probably do Earth and Fire and bore you and probably have you run off of the set because I love the group so much. But Look, I'm glad that even on short notice you came. Thank you so much. And this will be the first of many. And I will probably have to ask you something behind the scenes
All right.
as to future pairings and getting together, because I think this might be the start of a wonderful partnership.
Oh, okay. He's that audience. I like
Yes, yes. So now we will proceed for the rest of the program to get to the Gridiron Scoop. Now, all of you know that there is football that's going to be played very soon. Not this Sunday or Saturday, but it will be next Saturday, I think probably Sunday too. The UFL, no, not the XFL, no, not the USFL, the UFL, they will kick off, and the season begins March 30th. And on ESPN and ABC, there's going to be names of plenty who will be calling the action. Now, names such as Mike Monaco and Drew Carter, names such as Lowell Galindo and Tom Luginbill, names such as Roy Philpott and Jorge Sedano. They will be calling the action, and then others also will be calling the action as well. My question to you, sir, coming into the new first season of the UFL, do you see a new star emerging from calling the future UFL games?
I mean, it's interesting. By the way, I like Segundo, by the way.
I do too.
It's hard for me to embrace the UFL in its full fashion, as it's decided to tell my state to kick rock.
Oh.
How on earth do you start a league and then not have Florida even mentioned? What are we doing here? First of all, that all being said, I'll probably go ahead and still watch at least a little of it. But listen, you want to know who, by the way, the biggest rising star as far as calling games, air quotes, or being involved with the broadcast is and will be?
Mm-hmm.
Whoever's doing whatever they're doing for the officiating and that live transparency that we've come to know and love. And I know that's been Blandino, but I don't feel like forever. But those guys, that's a
nice name. I love that. Yeah. Wow. That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, because I think we're now starting to get, we're both football fans, obviously. I think we're now starting to get more into the minutia of the game. And I think, yeah, we, not to say that we're sort of blocking analysts and color guys. That sort of has been in our purview for as long as we can remember. But I think now we're starting to embrace the referee.
Well, it's what's interesting.
Booth.
It's what's interesting, Cole. Before the XFL season, I thought Blandino was just a windbag, and I there was so many times I was shouting at the TV about how wrong he was. Don't get me started on Piera. That guy is awful at his job, and frankly, the fact that he's been stealing money from Fox, I just he annoys me, and also looks like a guy who's trying to sell me cars. Okay, let me be.
Oh no.
But where I really came to know and love Blandino and what he's doing was starting to cover the XFL back when my time when I was credentialed through the Guardians. And to see him not only during the broadcasts, which is all amazing. Everybody needs to adopt that. Period. Point blank. End of story. Hell, I don't know why sponsors aren't getting involved with that already and demanding ESPN do it. Maybe the NFL is afraid. I don't know. Punchline is this, my guy. That particular piece is where a star can be born, and the three major networks and maybe Prime as well can birth a new star that people like way better than Mike Piera. Oh yeah, I think that's where kind of that new talent crop is going to be coming from. It's not only is it a new niche, it's an opportunity to have a more intelligent person talk about the game than some of the guys out there. I'm not going to name names, but a guy in the past who he played quarterback is supposed to be smart and was awful at his job. Joe Theismann, for example. You know, so those overrated analysts are starting to end, I think.
Oh my gosh, you just coming with bombs.
Oh, listen,
Mm.
I'm firing with a Gatling gun here. There's strays everywhere. Okay.
Oh my gosh, hating on the UFL because they decided to not have a Florida presence. Oh wow. And then
I want it to survive. How do you survive in football and not include Florida? That's my question to you.
Yeah. To me there's four states I'd say that I think are football crazy. Florida's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Florida, California, Texas, and Pennsylvania. I personally think it's hard to not have a football presence without including any team in any city in those four states. That's what I believe.
But please give me that Michigan franchise. Woo! You know.
No. Oh, wow.
I said it.
That's pretty strong and stiff, Kyle. Oh man, I love it though. Keep it coming. 6 says, Cole, I wonder if you and Kyle could sing. She take your heart, but you won't feel it.
Listen, my falsetto ain't that good, bro.
I'm just trying to make you see. There you go, sir.
My man.
One of my favorite songs too. Oh Lord. He says Kyle is not taking any prisoners. Shots fired, shrapnel flying.
The facts of the case. Listen,
oh
I appreciate you, Sick. I think you and I have encountered each other once before in the In and Out Sports Debate.
Sick is awesome. Yeah, that very, very few come better than Sick. Oh man, very, very lively and learn it. He knows a whole lot of stuff, and glad that you're aboard, my brother. And yeah, I see a snowman. I'll hit you up a little later. I see it though. Now, the UFL has decided to use as his apparel partner Under Armour. They kicked off last week with their partnership with Under Armour ahead of the upcoming season, which kicks off later this month. The announcement last week is an extension of an expansive multi-year agreement signed last year with the XFL.
Mm-hmm.
Street leader in innovative high-performance athletic apparel production, Under Armour will continue to provide resources, services, and support for UFL businesses and football initiatives, including official uniform partner, official sideline apparel partner for players and coaches, official performance apparel partner, official licensed fan gear, and even official youth football partner. Now, my question to you is the following. Now, we've known of Under Armour for a minute, and yes, we knew that they were the licensed apparel for the XFL. Could this vehicle actually serve to take Under Armour to the next level?
Yeah, I mean the opportunity is there, right? It's one of those things. This has whispers of something in movie culture that's well known is how George Lucas made the money off of Star Wars through the merchandising and the toys and all that, right? I think that's the opportunity for Under Armour to sneak in there and do that and raise their footprint through the individual communities, through youth football and all that is huge now. And then it's a lottery ticket in that, what if this actually goes? And listen, I'm a believer in The Rock and that Danny Garcia as well, his sports partner.
Oh gosh, the brilliant business mind is she. Wow.
Yeah, she was fantastic. I got to talk to her a couple times here when she was in town in Orlando with the Guardians, owner of that particular team, by the way. Somehow they left. I don't know how that works, but no, I'm not taking shots. I just don't know the details. I'm reporting facts on that, Cole. That's no shots fired. I am a Danny Garcia person, 100%. And listen, if somebody's going to run it smarter than some of the others that have run, spring football leagues into the ground, i.e. Donald Trump, right? I feel like this is a group that was a fired shot, by the way. So
I know that.
I'm confident that these leagues not competing each other is an improvement. I'm confident that this is good leadership. You have guys that are in the game, that respect the game and what it means to be that 53rd man, right? The only thing I think they could have done a little better is they should have stuck with what they did last year and go right from the Super Bowl to starting their season. that was a capital move in my opinion to give the Junkies their fix, for football immediately and keep the constant flow of football action going. But I guess March 30th is close enough, right?
Yeah, it is. It is, and the shot that Orlando no longer is there, and you mentioned Danny Garcia in the same sentence.
That was a lie.
I know wonderful shots when I see it.
Hey, listen,
I know you're reporting, but
I miss the team, but I appreciate Danny Garcia and her efforts.
And I miss the fact they're in Florida too. And I agree. And
I got my tumbler, which is now an artifact rather than a souvenir.
And a souvenir, yeah, that's horrible. That's horrible. 6 says trust and believe. Under Armour are the best brand to fit the UFL. Reebok wouldn't work. Definitely not Adidas or Puma. And Nike, I think, is just too big now.
I agree. Yeah, no, it's a good call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny when I was watching Air, and Nike was probably not in the same position that Under Armour is in now with the NBA back in the early '80s, where they weren't the brand, but they hitched their wagon to what ended up being the biggest supernova probably in sports history in Michael Jordan, and that led them to a whole ton of business opportunities just with that one signing. So yeah, you just never know. But yeah, congratulations, Under Armour. I'm glad that they were able to extend their relationship with Danny and with Dwayne or Rock, and and XFL, now UFL.
Not for nothing, I enjoyed their gear too when I was playing semi-pro ball. I had my Under Armour. It was awesome.
Yeah. It is great gear, no question about that. Now, the coaches were also announced, of course, not this past week, but this past month. And their coaching staffs and general managers in advance of the season is now full display with all 8 rosters. Amongst them, of course, you have Bob Stoops, who was Oklahoma's head coach. Now he is coaching the Renegades, the defending XFL champs. Skip Holtz, who is the coach of the defending USFL champs, the Birmingham Stallions, on the Renegades of the team for Bob Stoops. Also, you have CJ Johnson for the Houston Roughnecks. It was Wade Phillips, but he went on, and now the Gamblers head coach assumes the Roughnecks position. John Filippo of the new Memphis Showboats, Mike Nolan of the Michigan Panthers. I've heard that name before. Oh, yeah, he led the 32 ranked defense in the NFL and the Cowboys before he left. Okay. But Wade decided to go from Houston to San Antonio. Now he is coaching the Brahmas instead of Heinz Ward.
Mm-hmm.
And you had Anthony Breck now, who is coaching the Battle Cats of St. Louis. And Reggie Barlow, who's now the head coach of the DC Defenders. Now, of all of the coaches and GMs, anybody, which coaching staffs or even organizations are you looking forward to seeing on the sideline and doing their thing in the boardroom?
Listen, call me biased, but there are a number of these guys I dealt with last year. And it's funny seeing Coach Phillips move over to replace Heinz Ward over there. That's going to be a very interesting battle in the state of Texas. You got a number of guys there, but to me, it's interesting. The guy that jumped off the page is actually the guy I saw lose, and his only loss in the regular season, you would come to find, against the Guardians, whose only win was the same game. But yeah, Coach Barlow. Reggie Barlow is a force, man. And I want to see what he does in this UFL and what noise they can make. I mean, you are a group that brings out a roughneck football team, that brings out quarterbacks that are basically runners and then decide, hey, by the way, Jordan Tiama's going to throw on you today and there's nothing you could do about it because you got to respect the run. To see all that, by the way, as a guy who also embraces the beer snake, man, listen, that's a fun guy. That's a smart guy. That's a guy who knows and loves football. And frankly, the only way I feel bad for him is having to experience being upset the way he was by the Renegades. But credit to the Renegades too, who made a fantastic championship for the XFL. Fortunately, it's only for that single XFL air quotes year. But listen, you need coaches like Coach Barlow if you're going to perpetuate a league like this to be a staple in the springtime.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you need guys who really are into the product. And when I mean the product, I mean the product itself, not necessarily the sport. But yes, also the sport.
Correct.
The product,
the fan stuff, all of it.
Yeah, the product. Yeah. Fans, media, merchandising, marketing. I mean, embrace all of that. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up the media. Great conversation with him. He was one of the better guys. Yeah. And I think the angle of having to trans something too, I think their future is going to be getting more old college coaches, right? Guys who are sick and tired of having to be executives, of having to be, round the clock recruiter guys. Now they can just do more to actually coach football rather than be CEOs. Kirk Ferentz, who's the oldest active coach currently coaching in Iowa. I asked him a few years back at the Citrus Bowl. It was the 5-year anniversary of Leonard Fournette at the time. Now it's 7, sitting out of the Citrus Bowl with Coach Orgeron and LSU and that whole thing when it was a big scandal, right?
Right.
I asked Coach Ferentz about, what he thinks about these big changes and all that and how they happened. He had gotten a text from Coach Bob Stoops that told him, "I have no idea how you're still doing this." End quote. So the fact that Stoops was the guy that sent Ferentz this text, the oldest active coach, I don't know how you're still doing it. That tells me the XFL needs to be targeting these college coaches, whether they're old or up and coming is a separate question. I know that some of them probably have to take a pay cut, right? But find that guy that's experienced coaching football, that's experienced coaching this age group of guys, bring them in to show team success while also developing assistants and stuff, right? Because remember, the thing that we forget in a developmental league is you aren't just developing players, you are developing intellectual talent. You are developing officials, media members, all of these things.
Yep.
So, I think there's an opportunity there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that great point. I mean, there's more than just, it's just the players. Well, the players are the biggest part, obviously. Otherwise, we wouldn't be watching it or reporting on it. But yes, when you have entities that actually don't look at other things and dismiss them, especially the media, because that seems to be a vogue thing to do, no matter what walk of life you're talking about. When you have entities that's like, come on, you're part of this too. You're part of this growth. You're actually wanting to show love to our brand. Come on, we'll open all the doors to it. When you have people like that, it makes the experience more enjoyable.
The entire product improves 100%.
Yes. And when you have that, it's a joy and a half. So when you have guys like a Reggie Barlow. And I agree with you. I think if you have more college, Bob Stoops is another example, and he's in the league now, where you have these college coaches. It's like, oh man, I got to be thinking about recruits from January to January.
By the way, nowadays keeping your former players happy is a priority in football. Yeah. It's never been before, right?
Yeah, and let's be honest, that chased Big Saban out the door.
What was it? 2 Mondays ago, I was in the media meeting with Coach Malzahn at UCF, doing stuff with the black and gold banneret. Bing! And there was a point made about getting players for availability and writing feature pieces, and the consideration of, we got to know what guy we're going to give you when, so everybody can get as equal a shine as possible. This is not something that was a concern the same way in the past. So it's a whole new way of thinking. And listen, credit to Coach Malzahn, credit to other coaches out there that have embraced the change. But listen, how cool would it be? Granted, these coaches would have to be humble enough, but how cool would it be if the UFL had enough prominence to eventually land a Nick Saban as a coach, a Dabo Sweeney when his day will eventually end because he's been too stubborn for change. How great would it be for those leagues to retain those guys? Hell, how big a deal was it in the past for the USFL and the AAF?
Oh yeah,
get Steve Spurrier.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's when we got the chance to know Steve Spurrier as a coach.
Bingo.
Because of the USFL. Yeah, I was just about to, great minds, because I was just about to mention that. I was like, we might actually have a Steve Spurrier on our hands, or the possibility of one with this happening.
That type. And listen, I have the unfair advantage. I covered the Orlando Apollos here for the AAF, so I got to do some press stuff with Steve Spurrier, and my dad was thrilled that happened. He this is one of those he started to take Kyle seriously as a media guy moments.
Nice. Yeah, so that's a great point, man. I'm actually glad you're here because you can actually extend on that point. I'm looking forward to seeing how all these coaches. Yeah, I could deal with the execs too, but how all these coaches promote the brand, because obviously, with the league that is now beginning, because let's be honest, this is now considered not the third time that the XFL has started or the second time USFL started. This is now a whole new league altogether.
Right.
Even though, yes, it's combining two pieces of defunct leagues. Now you have to have really your head coaches be the biggest salesman to the product.
I mean, there's history for merged leagues finding success. Am I right?
You are correct. In fact, it's going to its 55th year this year. Yeah. I'm just saying. Oh no, we're just saying.
Indeed.
Now, the United Football League today, or I should say last month. I'm sorry. Let's try this again.
Take two.
Thank you. UFL announced last month they will continue to build on the innovation of both leagues. And they adopted several innovative rules from previous leagues to deliver an exciting, fast-paced game with plenty of action. Slight modifications have been made to the rules that overlapped, including alternate possession options in the fourth quarter. And both leagues implemented opportunities last year for teams that are trailing if the score is tied. This year, the UFL will offer a 4th and 12 from the 28-yard line. Now, the highlighted rules will be the following: teams, if they want to execute a point after touchdown, they'll have 3 scrimmage plays from which to choose. Either take it from the 2-yard line for a 1-point try, 5-yard line for a 2-point try, or 10-yard line for a 3-point try. Kickoffs will look more like the traditional college NFL kickoffs, but will take place from the 20 instead of the 30. And also alternate possession option. While onside kicks are allowed at any time during the game, teams will have an alternative option to retain possession in the fourth quarter. If a team is tied or behind during the fourth quarter, it may elect to retain possession after a score with the 4th and 12 from 28. Now, with those rules and others that will adorn the UFL, what rules do you like as UFL begins their inaugural season?
I mean, I know it's not in the spirit of the question, but I will lead by saying I hate that they've gotten rid of the XFL kickoff. I think that was the answer to all the concerns for player safety.
I do too, yeah.
While keeping the kickoff alive as a thing for special teams and all that, and while also accounting for player safety, I think the NFL should have leaned in all on this. But then again, we saw Joe Flacco get the Comeback Player of the Year award from over a guy that came back from the dead. So please tell me how much player safety really matters to you, liars. That all being said, of the things they're retaining, Cole Johnson, I like the alternative possession. You could onside kick, you could do that. You could kick away, or you could do the 4th and 20. I that was something, to me, my instincts as a football purist are like, that's just a lottery ticket and that's some crap. But from a fan's perspective only, that kind of thing leads for some mighty fine excitement.
It does. And count me in on how the XFL did kickoffs too. I loved it. And for those who don't know, the kicking team wouldn't be able to move a muscle until the receiving team actually received the kickoff. And I thought that was a brilliant way to have excitement brought back into the kickoff of actually ensuring the player safety bit. I think that was a total win-win. And for that to go away, I hate that. But yeah, I agree with you. I think
and moreover, the way the kicking team was lined up too is an important element.
Yeah, yes, and the way the kicking team was lined up as well. Yeah. But I did love the fact that that they said the kicking team cannot move at all until the kick is received. I was like, yes, I like that.
Well, it's received, or if it hits the ground, then they can go too.
Oh, yeah, or if it hits the ground. Yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot if it hits the ground. Yeah.
Again, all the purity elements that we want by keeping players safer.
Right. And yes, I agree. NFL players, they care about the NFL. They care about the players and their safety. Again,
that was a lie.
Well, we will be back with the NFL UFL next week, and we will review the 4 games that will be on tap. As Drew and I, or Kyle and I, or who knows, we'll break that down for the next week. But that is for next week. But for this week, that is now the beginnings of getting your UFL scratch. And if you want to actually have alternative play-by-play, my man Snowman is offering it. He says that he will be doing alternative play-by-play for the UFL on a weekly basis, starting 2 weekends from now. Old school style, he says. Oh, 6 says, breaking news. Oh, my bad. My bad. I got to do this correctly. This just into the Total Football Talk news desk. Kyle Nash has just shattered the tibia and fibula of Roger Goodell's ego. Diagnoses isn't good.
That dude ain't seen nothing. I've gone to town on the Players Association and how they treat player health and stuff too.
You're a man of my own heart. You're a man of my. I'm not going to derail this show. But you're a man of my own heart. I'll just say that right there. With that statement right there, Mr. Nash. 6 says Adidas. I know I have to say it correctly. Adidas already has the MLS on lock, which that is correct. They have all the soccer on lock here. Nike's fitting the NBA, NFL, NHL, and Major League Baseball. That's correct. And he says, 1 point try, 2 point try, 3 point try? What is this, rugby?
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be. You never know. But yeah, we will be touching up more on the UFL as we get the season rolling. But before we do, we have more of that's right, the Gridiron Scoop on Total Football Talk, and we will be back right after this.
Comey Media Incorporated, creating content magic in the real world.
Little right here. Look at the inside of these cakes. Now, when you bite into it, just as I demonstrated while you were talking at the beginning of your discussion right there, I could taste the drugs inside of this cake, Sick. I could taste the addiction within the cream filling of this cake right here, to where they not only this with that cake right there, but they made an ice cream out of it. They made an ice cream out of it. A 1 pint Christmas tree cake ice cream. Look at that little just smile up there. Look, she is up to no good on there. Look at that. Look at that smile on there, Sick. She knows that she got you. Got him is what's in her mind right now.
Acknowledge me.
Look at that little smile right there. She's up to no good.
D. Willie in the evening. Thursdays at 11:15 p.m. Eastern, 10:15 p.m. Central exclusively on Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, look. Hey, stop playing games. Y'all already know. Go ahead and toss him some Willie Bucks. Ain't nobody playing around. Hey, $sign DWillie87. Go ahead and hit him up on the Cash App and go ahead and give him some Willie Bucks. Look at Drew looking stoic, ladies and gentlemen. Stoic on that $10 bill. So go ahead, slide my man over some Willie Bucks. And we good. That's all I'm saying. We good. How about some Willie Bucks?
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Hey, Eagles fan. Join my man Cool McCain and a host of others as they break down every single game, every single week in an objective manner, and also from a fan's perspective as well. Remember, this cast feels just like you. Nobody likes you. And you don't care. Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles Elite Podcast. Every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and other podcast outlets.
Welcome back to Total Football Talk with Kyle Nash. I am Cole Johnson. And again, it is a pleasure to actually do this with you. I'm going to have a great rest of my day just because I was blessed with Kyle Nash and all of his isms and all of his dings. Yeah, I'm going to be blessed.
Well, hey, by the way, quick side note, that D Willie Bucks promo, I was there for that. If you heard a second laugh in the background, that wasn't Drew's, that's me. That was one of the first In or Out Sports Debate 3-man shows. Bing! So I mentioned that if you were wondering who the other laugh was, it's this guy. And listen, that's not very professional. It's not the same professionalism as a Cowboys fan reading an Eagles show promo. That's next level stuff. I was unprofessional, but that narrator was a true professional as he executed there.
Capping on two teams at once. I'm impressed.
Hashtag talent.
I'm impressed. Oh, Lord. Let us continue with the Gridiron Scoop. I am totally impressed. All right, back to the NFL. And before he was traded from the Chargers to the Bears this past Thursday, wide receiver Keenan Allen revealed that the Chargers had permitted him to explore several other options for where he would want to continue his career after spending 11 in LA and a little bit in San Diego before then. Later, when asked about the teams interested for Allen, the wide receiver mentioned the Jets and the Texans. How funny. The Chargers were $21 million over the salary cap before free agency hit, which is, of course, this past Wednesday. And in the process of becoming cap compliant, pass rushers Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack both agreed to pay cuts while the team released outright veteran wide receiver Mike Williams. Great decision. After restructuring his contract last offseason, Allen declined to take a pay cut this year and was subsequently traded to the Bears for a 4th-round draft pick, which would be the 110th overall selection. Now, my question to you, Kyle, is does Keenan Allen do anything to help improve the Bears' talent-deprived or challenged offense?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If you're going to be in a situation, whether it's Caleb Williams or whoever you think it should be, to put them in a position to bring in a guy like Keenan Allen, who, by the way, has a history of bringing up young quarterbacks, right? He was a guy that I don't know that Phillip Rivers was young at the time. It's hard to remember a time when Phillip Rivers was young, frankly. But he was involved. He was important in that regime. He helped lift up Justin Herbert significantly. And that knowledge, I think, would be helpful in raising Caleb Williams, especially a guy where there are questions about his confidence, right or not, having somebody out there who's as talented as a veteran as Keenan Allen is, hopefully he could stay on the field, for the full season, or at least put in 12 games. But yeah, you have to love the addition, talent wise, even though it's going to be kind of a stopgap at the position.
Yeah, it unfortunately has to be, considering that he now. This sounds really cold when I say it. He's long in the tooth. So yeah,
those are the facts, man. You're reporting.
Yeah, they are. They are. But I think this would help Caleb Williams, because I think it's a foregone conclusion the Bears are going to be drafting him next month. So yeah, you have him coming up on a team that now also has DeAndre Swift that's in the backfield, who, in my opinion, and I said this once before, I'll say it again, the Eagles wasted a trade to get him. If he was going to produce the same with that club as he did with the Lions, why even trade for the guy? But I digress.
Now the reason he didn't produce, I think, is more on the Eagles coaching staff, and I touched on them earlier in the show, so we'll leave that at that. Hey guys, how about not always handing off out of the shotgun and limiting your options for a guy who's a versatile back? But you're going to do that with Saquon next year, so that'll be great.
Good. Let the hate flow through you. I'm sorry, my bad.
Hell of a pivot. You've noticed my equal opportunity nature, have you?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And I ain't hating on any of it. I'm not hating on any of it, because that's been my trumpet. That's been my trumpet clarion call about the Eagles last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I can, I could derail this show with that, but I'm not going to. I do like this for a burgeoning quarterback that's going to come in and probably start week 1, because obviously Mr. Williams is going to be starting week 1. There's no question. Do I think he's going to be successful? Maybe not. Maybe so. My issue with him is not necessarily his talent; it's his mental acuity, and I'm not sure, and his emotional makeup. I'm not sure if he's able to handle all of that. But a move like Keenan Allen's would help him a little bit.
100%.
Yeah. So I do agree there. So yeah, good move on the Bears, which that sounds oxymoronic to actually say good move and Bears in the same sentence. But actually, this was a good move by them. And they didn't really give up much in return. So yeah, bravo for once. Now we get to put a Dallas Cowboys punching bag, and we get to punch on them some more, because now Leighton Vander Esch is retiring from the Cowboys after dealing with a recurring neck issue in his very short 6-year career. The first-round draft pick in 2018 set a rookie record with 176 tackles and was named to the Pro Bowl, as his Wolf Hunter nickname became a signature call during games. I love Jerry World. Anyway, he entered the NFL with questions about his neck and missed time because of his neck injuries in 2019, 2022, and 2023. The 28-year-old had surgery after missing 7 of the final 9 games in 2019 and suffered a stinger that caused him to miss the final 4 regular season games 2 years ago, but returned for the playoffs. Last season, he had an awkward collision with Micah Parsons in a game that I think you know very well. After being pushed from behind by, there's this guy, I haven't heard his name. He plays left tackle for the team. Oh, yeah, Trent Williams.
Oh, you mean the 49ers MVP? Yes.
Yes. In the second quarter of that 42-10 thumping in Santa Clara. He didn't play again, unfortunately, and his retirement was expected, which I'm sure it was. My question to you is, how does this unexpected retirement, not necessarily with him retiring, but in terms of the roster, when I say unexpected, how does this unexpected retirement affect the Cowboys defense?
I mean, listen, if you have less attack on the edge, inevitably that does hurt the defense. And then let me be clear, I don't want to make light of neck injuries. I'm actually glad.
Oh, heck no.
Yeah, I'm glad to see him hang it up. I mean, it's a sad thing. A big guy in Denver, Al Wilson, was a linebacker.
Oh yeah,
A
I
guy
remember that name.
whose career ended earlier than it should have. Priest Holmes for the Chiefs, another career that ended earlier than it should have. For a guy who was on Hall of Fame pace,
Yes, he was. Oh man, I loved him. I loved watching him run. Yeah.
He's my favorite running back. And I say this as a 49er fan. Priest Holmes was my guy. The dude that worked on Sundays, it was perfect. His name was Priest.
Priest.
But I say all that's a joke I made in the first incarnation of the Student of the Game. But that's how old I am, Cole. Don't judge, okay? Listen, I still have great hair. But this is going to be a tough thing. I mean, at least Van Der Esch gave them time to kind of draft for it and account for it in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Obviously, Micah Parsons is still the main force up front. DeMarcus Lawrence, although a bit longer in the tooth himself, is going to be a force still. Diggs, if he could come back proper from his injury, they still have a formidable defense. It would be nice to get a piece to replace him in the draft. I don't know how easy that is.
Yeah.
So, it could be the kind of thing where they're forced into a corner to get younger and improve by accident. So, not improve, but get some new blood in and make, let's just say, and this is putting it cold in terms of salary terms. I would have, if I'm a Cowboy fan, if I'm an NFL fan, I prefer Van Der Esch play, obviously. But
totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
But I think there could be an opportunity to help the salary cap with this,
Yeah, that's a good point there. That's the salary cap point is a good point. And yes, yeah, definitely. Total Football Talk, Kyle Nash and myself, all entities. Even Drew, and I'm sure I can speak for Drew when I say this too.
Even Red Tails fan, Commanders fan, Drew Willingham will pitch in as well.
Yeah, we definitely do not advocate for any player to have his neck injured, and I am glad that he's able to walk off.
Yes,
and not get carried off. So I don't care what I don't care what team he plays on. I'm glad that is the case. I'm glad he's healthily walking away from the game.
He's part of an NFL trend of players retiring sooner and speaking of their health. I love it. I think it's something that needs to happen.
Yeah, one of the biggest names, former 49er, Patrick Willis.
Mm-hmm. And still a Hall of Famer now, am I right?
And he still should be. Yeah.
Yeah,
still should be. Yeah, because I mean, he was definitely on Hall of Fame. Talk about a player that was on Hall of Fame pace. He was, and I think he still should be in. And this is coming from a non-49ers fan. So yeah, definitely. But look, prayers to you, Leighton. I'm glad that you're able to walk away. I hope that you'll be able to enjoy life away from football, and hopefully you can enjoy football as a fan. And I hope that the Cowboys do right by you and treat you as a wonderful citizen of the club, because you are on your way to actually becoming one of those names that we probably would mention. Okay, in Cowboys lore, he actually might be one of the best. So yeah, I'm glad you're walking away healthy, and I'm glad you're not being carried away, because the last time we saw you, that it made my heart sink when I saw it. I was like, oh man, that was a nasty collision. But yes, happy retirement, and I hope you enjoy your life with your family. You get to play with your children, and you get to enjoy life on your own terms. Speaking of people who are enjoying life on their own terms, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Well, it looks like Travis Kelce is done world touring with there's a certain woman that people hate for some reason, for no reason whatsoever. No, I won't talk about her now. And of course, Mahomes.
You're just talking about somebody who was dating professional athletes. I made a leap there. Oh, it's not her? My bad. My bad.
Oh Lord, yes. No, it's not her. But I love that though. But yes, Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, they are combining. Yes, they are in action, but now they are business partners. This past Thursday, Mahomes and Kelce announced that they will be opening their own steakhouse called 1587 Prime. The restaurant is projected to open early next year at the Lowe's Hotel in downtown Kansas City. The duo is working with Noble 33, a Las Vegas-based restaurant franchise, to give visitors the experience of how Mahomes and Kelsey eat while on the road. And the QB, and to me, I call him now the QB final boss. He had this to say about the pairing. Quote, Travis and I have become frequent visitors of Noble 33 restaurants in other cities, so it only made sense to bring something special to our own community in Kansas City. Close quote. Now, obviously, 15, Patrick Mahomes' number, 87, Travis Kelsey's number. You got why it's named such. And of course, prime is one of the prime cuts in a steakhouse. Now, my question to you, sir, is will this only be a Kansas City thing, or do you think this will become a franchise?
Well, I mean, how do you not entertain franchising this? Now, I would obviously the flagship store should be in Kansas City, and where you test this concept should be in that city, and all of that. And listen, every city is its own demographic, its own biome, if you will,
right,
for what it is to somebody that would entertain restaurateurs. But let's go down the list, shall we? Travis Kelsey, who's probably going to retire after this year as a future Hall of Fame first ballot player, is going to be a big brand. And then there's an NFL quarterback, the final boss, as you call him, Patrick LaVon Mahomes II. That's a whole thing. And let's just say the union between one Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift remains a thing. Now you have expanded it all into worldwide reach. This is the kind of stuff where I feel like Disney's going to get involved, so they'll have rights to the Imperial March. Okay? This is what I'm saying. You're going to be eating your steak. You're going I mean, did you see this?
I'm sorry, Mom. I'm hijacking the whole show. I'm sorry.
You were feeling the vibe. Did you not? Fucking job again. I'm glad my cup was empty, but I'm glad I knocked my cup of juice over here. Okay, like that I was in it. And not to I'll tease one of the comments. Listen, I'm not a Swiftie. I have a daughter. There's a difference. Okay,
Mm-hmm. And then there was 6 saying, "Don't fall for it, Cole. Kyle smells like a closet Swiftie from over here."
That being said, the very same daughter has proclaimed to me now that she too is swiftly fatigued. So, but yeah, no, all the joking aside, man, the opportunity here is huge.
Yeah, it is. It is. The opportunity is huge. And the opportunity to actually expand is huge.
Oh,
and congratulations to them.
They got free advertising on Fox Sports Network by way of Nick Wright. So hell, I mean,
see. So yeah, and congratulations to Travis and Pat. I hope the steakhouse does well for the both. But the takeaway from this episode, not this episode, but the takeaway from this segment is my man Kyle Nash has a daughter who's a Swiftie, but actually has Swiftie fatigue. That is hilarious. Because I thought that never existed. I thought they couldn't get enough of Taylor Swift. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
The rest of it's kind of like soccer. I think the rest of the world is still into it.
Gosh, yeah. Oh yeah, no question. 6 says either they'll remain a couple, or a diss track will be topping the charts following the break. No, it won't be a diss track. It'll be a whole album.
Hey, B, if they get married and Travis doesn't put the toilet seat down, still getting a diss track. I'm just
oh yeah. I'm thinking that too. I'm like, yeah, if people want to follow Taylor Swift and they get married, oh yeah, definitely. All the stuff that he does wrong will be on albums. 6 says, here's a thought. Jason Kelsey creates his own beer brand.
Oh,
beer brand, beard butter.
Listen, sir. do not knock the hair on that man. For one, his beard is gorgeous, and two, for a fellow fatty like myself, let me show on the video my credentials, my Aaron Evans original painting of me as an offensive lineman, okay? Let me tell you this. That dude's chest hair is even shaped appropriately. Do not knock the follicles on that man, sir. Don't do it.
Oh, I'm not knocking the follicles. I'm just saying.
I'm making sure. I'm just defending my fellow O-line brethren here.
Look, offensive lineman, former offensive lineman right here too.
Hey, I knew you were intelligent, but I didn't know you were. Like, okay.
So I didn't know you were an offensive lineman too. I'm like, oh, cool. All right. No wonder why I like this guy. All right. No, I have profound respect for. I've as you said, of the two Kelceys, I actually like Jason over Travis. But yeah, no, I was saying of the opportunities that he could take advantage of. Yes, the beard brand. I can see him do beard butter, and I'm actually saying it from the standpoint of, yeah, that beard looks good. It could actually be better, and he could take advantage of it.
But as far as the beer question, I mean, listen, how do you not have, some sort of brew going on, like, front and center or something like that? You pardon expression. When it comes to Jason Kelce beer, like that all makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah. Well, all of this though, Jason Kelce's retirement and possible future, either with business ventures or probably in front of the camera, which I'm sure it will be.
Oh yeah.
And now Travis Kelce being a businessman, I guess, fanning the flames and setting the stage for his next stage of his life. I guess both Kelce's are taking their careers to new heights.
I see what you did there, sir. Well played.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And speaking of careers going to a new height and adjusting to a new life in the next stage of it, the Rams, Aaron Donald, the three-time Defensive Player of the Year, is going to call it quits. Well, he actually announced his retirement this past Friday. And in those 10 seasons, he was that three-time DPOY designation. Also, along with it, he was an 8-time first-team All-Pro, a 10-time Pro Bowl selection, and the 2014 Rookie of the Year on the defensive side of the ball. He finished his career with 111 sacks. Dang, for a defensive tackle, that's boss. Gee. 111 sacks, the second most among primary defensive tackles in a career, behind John Randall's 137.5, since individual sacks became an official statistic back in 1982. He holds the Rams record for career sacks. Of course, that would be if they didn't count what Deacon Jones did. But I digress.
Indeed.
Mr. Donald had this to say about his career. Quote, "Throughout my career, I have given my everything to football, both mentally and physically. 365 days a year, including leap year, was dedicated to becoming the best possible player I could be. I respected this game like no other, and I'm blessed to be able to conclude my NFL career with the same franchise that drafted me. Not many people get drafted to a team, win a world championship with that team, and retire with that team. I do not and will not take that for granted." Close quote. Now, he's hinted at retiring probably starting the year they actually won the Super Bowl, the offseason before they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Super Bowl 56, where he should have been the game's MVP, but we don't have to talk about that right now.
I knew you're a smart man, because I said the same thing. Even though I like Cooper Kupp, I thought he got jobbed out of that too. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's been hinting at retirement the offseason before that Super Bowl run. So this really didn't come as a huge surprise to me, but it's going to be a hole, obviously.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on the now retired Aaron Donald?
I mean, I think we touched on it just as well with Van Der Esch, right? This is another example of a guy who played at a very physical position, who's in a car accident literally every snap with the way that these guys hit each other.
That's
and
correct.
He's in a position to walk away from the game. I think what makes Aaron Donald and Randall, you mentioned for the Vikings, very unique, is they were speed-based guys.
That's
but I think the days of the Gilbert Browns, a name as a run stuffer, space filler type.
Yeah, like the 6'1", 6'1", 6'2", 330, 40, 50, 60-pound guy.
Yeah, like those. I'm not going to say they go away because if you're running a 3-4, you need that dude still, no question.
No question.
But you're going to see
if you're running 3-4. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're going to see more guys like Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt, and Ndamukong Suh, who, by the way, should have gotten a Heisman. That's another question. But guys who are more complete athletes are going to be the mold, and at least for the elite level players.
I agree.
And yeah, listen, it's a whole new generation of edge rush we saw, kind of starting with Julius Peppers. I'm glad he's getting in the hall.
I am too.
And yeah, that's where I'll leave it, man. He's representative of the new breed that started then, and I'm glad. Again, this is another level of intelligent football player who's going to take his money and live a proper life. Give another dude a shot.
And I'm glad he is. He deserves that. I have forever been a fan of the guy. Whenever you could be 6 foot and 280 pounds, and you can probably use leverage like an offensive lineman does, and like we're taught to do, and probably toss a guy 6'3" and over 300 pounds out the club.
Oh yeah,
often.
Take me down, no question.
To do that often, I was like, yeah, you forever have my respect, sir. And I've always remarked about him. I said, he actually plays the position like an offensive lineman. Because when I looked at it, I was like, I was taught that type of stuff. How to get proper leverage to make sure that the defender can't really, can't get proper footing to where he wants to go, to direct him where you want him to go. And I was seeing him do things, and I remarked to other people, I'm seeing him do things. I'm like, this dude is playing a defensive tackle position like an offensive lineman. I'm like, wow. Just blew me away when I saw it.
Well, and think about the part of the line he's attacking too, right? If he's over the center, he's going to outstrength them, but he'll also be agile enough to do battle. Like, say what you will about Aaron Donald. I know the knock on him was allegedly that he was too small, but they don't see the pure bowling ball of a build he is.
Yes.
And being that shorter guy in a world where O linemen are 6'3" and higher, that's a tougher block, Right. And then if he's going against the guards, he just moves too well,
Yeah, he does. He moves far too well with guards. Yeah.
He's just the build is so perfect. I think the only thing that might make a tackle a tougher matchup is they tend to have longer arms. But again, with his hand movement, I'm sure he could still fight through that. If somebody wanted to make him a 3-4 defensive end, they could do that too. Why would you? But
right, exactly. Why would you? I would say the same.
All above, his athleticism reiterates that shortest line to the quarterback is the A gap, and that's the textbook of it, man.
Yeah, it is. It is. And oh man, God, I'm getting to talk minutia football with somebody. I love it. That is what really impressed me about him. I'm like, man. And I love your point with tackles. I think the only thing that could get Aaron would be a tackle like a Jonathan Ogden that's just so big, and is so agile with his feet, and he is so technically sound with his foot movement and foot placement. That's the only type of guy that I think if he were to be on the edge, that would give Aaron Donald a headache.
I mean,
and I think he still would find a way to get past him. Yeah, but it would be really tough for him. Outside of that, I can't really see any offensive lineman that could get the better of Aaron Donald more than he would get the better of them.
And because he would be a tackle, he'd be way too far out. And listen, for context, like my first credentialed assignment was the Hall of Fame. Jonathan Ogden was one of the inductees. He was coming out of the bathroom, and I was going, and he is a full head and more taller than, like, my head goes to his shoulder. I'm like, I'm supposed to feel that way about my kids, not another human being. And listen,
it's a tall dude, man. I was like, you ain't supposed to play off. You ain't supposed to be an offensive lineman. Like, dang, you supposed to be in the NBA. How the heck you in the NFL? Like 6'8"?
I mean, then when you see that how built he is down, down beneath to where it's too hard to jump up to dunk, then you get it. Oh yeah, he is an NFL player. That makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The low center of gravity. Yeah. I was like, okay, got it. Yeah. But like 6'8" with the reach that probably could rival Kareem. I'm like, okay, no.
Just my T-Rex arms, I'll tell you what, but I digress.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, this was a pleasure. I love doing this. I love breaking this down with you. And this actually ends the Gridiron Scoop.
Total football talk.
As long as it's one.
And now we've come to the portion of the show where we give our post game. This is where we give a review of the week that was the past and possibly the week that's to come. And for the final thoughts for this episode, I will turn it over to my guest, Kyle Nash.
Listen, I'm in a position where I cover the Jaguar report to have written an article on one Gabe Davis, the number 2 receiver in Buffalo previously, and a lot of people are already sleeping on what this man can be as an impact. First of all of you are fools because Gabe Davis is a great human being to start with. How do I know that? I covered him his time at UCF and beyond. Bing! Black and gold banneret, by the way. I've talked to him since then too, as he did occasionally come to UCF to work out. Maybe he will not go up and have DeAndre Hopkins. The Texans thing screwed me up. The DeAndre Hopkins in his prime numbers. I don't think you should expect that from Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is a go up and get it guy. Gabe Davis is now the tallest receiver on the Jags, by the way. And over and above everything else, he's going to be able to block to open up the outside run in a way that the Jags couldn't last year. To knock him as somebody who's supposed to be a Calvin Ridley replacement, he isn't that, and I really wish the media would stop being so dumb and football ignorant to assume that. Just because one guy leaves doesn't mean going to do anything anywhere else. The only thing dumber I've heard is people trying to tell me that Mac Jones is going to threaten for Trevor Lawrence's job. Stop. For the love of Pete. All of the above being said, my final piece is for Drew Willingham to get well soon. And Cole Johnson, an honor, joy, and privilege for you to trust me to step in to your house and do a show with you. Having never done one with me before, by the way, the immense respect I feel in that prospect right there is humbling, no matter how big my ego actually is.
Oh, well, look, the pleasure's all mine. Totally appreciate that. Totally appreciate it. Before I give my take, Six says, look, don't forget about Aaron Donald. He's only 6 feet, so he has a lower center of gravity. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. He attacked being a defensive tackle from an offensive lineman's perspective, and I'm sure Kyle has heard this ad nauseum being taught as an offensive lineman. I mean, they say use your low center of gravity and keep your feet moving. And to make sure that you do not have the opposing defensive lineman put his hands on you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the value is, arms extended and you move your feet and you use your low center of gravity so you can't be moved so far right, left, and you be able to guide whoever. Yeah. Donna was doing that to offensive linemen.
Yes.
That was scary. Yes. Just to see that. And I have, as an offensive lineman, huge respect for that. I'm like, wow.
Can you imagine how frightening it must be that after suffering a devastating injury and having a miracle comeback, the first time you step back onto the damn field is against Aaron Donald? Why don't you ask Alex Smith sometime?
Oh my gosh.
The fact he survived that, it was impressive, not only to me, but even Aaron Donald himself.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh yeah. And Six says, look, respect and congratulations, Aaron Donald. He walks away with his body for the most part intact in the Super Bowl ring. Old gold jacket in 2029 will be in his future. I agree.
He better
First by Hall of Famer.
Or I'm going to be screaming.
First by Hall of Famer, no questions asked. No, you might have to think about it. Dark Stage 9117. It's great. It's a pleasure that you're here, sir. He says, hot take. The Bears will trade the first pick in the draft to the Patriots. That would be funny if the Patriots end up drafting Caleb Williams. I'm not a Patriots fan, but I find it a bit strange how they're taking a slow and steady approach to their rebuild. We know the younger fans wants to win it again, as they had Brady for 20 years, and I think the Bears' incompetence in the front office will lead them to this. You might not be so far off. He says, look, I'm not sure, though, why they would want to go back to number 3. But we'll see each draft team slide back and go forward and for strange reasons. Well,
what if they don't
the
want
Bears did for Mr. Trubisky? So there you go.
That's true, too. By the way, speaking of fleecing, props to John Lynch.
Yes.
To your point, though, maybe they live in a space where you do, Cole, and they don't want Caleb Williams, right? They'll slide back to 3. They'll get a QB they want, whether it's Jalen Daniels, whether it's one of the other guys. I'm not a Drake May guy.
I'm
but
not really either.
Or maybe they drop back further and capitalize on the incredibly disrespected Michael Penix. Who knows?
The Southpaw. That's not a bad choice there. And yeah, he has been. I 100% agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
The free agency period is another reason why I will always say the NFL has it over every other professional league in North America. We try to get hyped up for the NBA's free agent period, which is in the middle of summer. Actually, not the middle of summer. Actually, it starts right about the time we're celebrating the country's birthday. So on Independence Day, we're dealing with teams going from one place to another. And with baseball, they try to do it in the off season, but people really could say, eh. And in the fall, we're wrapped up in football, and some are wrapped up in basketball. Here we are in the off season of the NFL. We have Major League Baseball in spring training. We have the NBA in its regular season, and we are in March Madness. And the biggest talks in sports happens to be football. I mean, I have heard, things of the Russell Wilson to the Steelers, and then Justin Fields getting traded to the Steelers. I've heard that talk ad nauseum, a full week. People getting down on Sean Payton for treating Russell Wilson bad. We touched on the Calvin Ridley thing. Hearing these types of talks, Kirk Cousins fleecing the Falcons for getting his second big NFL bag, which all I had to do is just say, congratulations, Kirk. That's all I have to say about that. But this talk has been at the center of sports talk, not just the center of the NFL talk, center of sports talk. And that right there, if people ask, well, why do you say the NFL is the number one sport in North America? Well, you have that. And when the Major League Baseball will be rounding off in the first month and getting to the second month, while the NBA is getting into playoff shape, we'll be giddy all for the NFL draft. You will see why people love the NFL so much, why Kyle loves the NFL so much, why Drew does, while I do. Because it is a league that, while for all its foibles and for all its warts and for all of its bad side to it, they just know how to market their product perfectly. And they know their base, they know what they want, they know how to give it to them, and they know how to create the excitement surrounding it. So yeah, other leagues, you have to pay attention to NFL because you got a lot of billionaires that could teach everybody else how to do business. And I hope the NFL doesn't get into a lull, because I get the feeling they're just hitting their stride. So thank you for making the NFL free agency an exciting time, almost as exciting as seeing the action on the field. Hopefully we feel the same way when we get to the NFL draft next month.
As long as it's one. Oh, it's great. I love it. I hope it actually is recording. Listening to it.
Well, that is all the time we have. But before we go, this is something I don't do simply because I know all of Drew's handles. Where can the people find you, Mr. Kyle Nash?
An honor, joy, and privilege to jump aboard being part of the Total Football Talk for today. Listen, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the same, the student of the game. Check out my writings on Jaguar Report, the 3-point conversion, and the black and gold banneret, as well as my work covering the Orlando Magic with A7BN Sports. Check out my work, of course, podcasting as the student of the game Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, and my work with the Duval Dive, my man, Travis Holmes of BigCatCountry.com on Fridays at 11. By the way, on the Sertopa Media Network's YouTube channel, among other plays, Huddle Up YouTube, my Facebook pages, A7BN Sports Facebook page, my Twitch account, the SOTG, all of the above. You can find the action there. And if you don't, check your favorite podcast catcher. You'll find both of them on the Student of the Game feed there as well. Also, check out the Duval Dive on the 3-point conversions iHeartRadio, as well as that Sports Block Sunday from 12 to 2 on Old School 101.com. Cole, I can't tell you how much fun I had because it was a fantastic thing. I will also be looking forward to your budding ASMR career to bring you another review stream. That should be a great thing that takes off. And I would avoid any Cleveland area codes should you begin that particular career. But like I said, an honor, joy, and privilege. And until next time, class dismissed.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you. This is actually almost a bucket list I could check off. I've been hearing about you for about 4 years, and I was like, oh yeah, we gotta have to have a chance to actually work together. And yeah, now I can say I have, and I can say I want to do it again. So thank you. I totally appreciate you, and I enjoyed you. Your brand of entertainment, I love. I will embrace. And now that I know that you were a former offensive lineman, yeah. Yeah. You're a friend of mine now, for real.
You just become best friends?
Yep. That's exactly what happened. Oh my gosh. If you want to reach me, all you have to do is go on to flowcode.com/page/host Cole Johnson. That is flowcode.com/page/host Cole Johnson. And if you want to reach Drew, he has many social media homes. You can find him on Sotoba_media on Instagram and on Twitter. And you can find him at @the_Sotoba on TikTok. And of course, you can find him on the Sotoba Media YouTube channel. That is @Sotoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. And you can catch me not tonight, but next Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. I will be making a guest appearance on Queen 3 and King. It is going to be a show that is going to feature submitting while struggling. That is Queen 3 and King. I'll make a guest appearance there next Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. That is on the BS3 network. And you can actually catch it streaming live on Roku TV as well. You can also catch that on the Queen 3 and King podcast YouTube channel as well as the BS3 network YouTube channel. That is Queen 3 and King podcast next Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, where I will guest appear with 3 queens and a king. And with that being said, thank you guys for liking, thank you for sharing, thank you for subscribing, and thank you for hitting that notification bell so you can catch any and all content that emanates from the Sotoba Media YouTube channel, also from all the channels that represent one Mr. Kyle Nash, and or the Comey Media YouTube channel. For Kyle Nash and for the recovering Drew Willingham, I am Cole Johnson, here to say in parting, as we always do, in life, just like a tackle, keep your head up. And always remember, you got to play until the whistle blows. Until next week, so long, everybody.